xaaral ma defal suma
Diaspora profile fii lay nappee waay sama gaay yi bare leeroo waaw waaw wax jeeka rafet gaal Fatoumata Rahman kooka amuma ci giir ju mangu gaañi bare leen gaañi teewlu leen
asalaamaaleykum mbokk yi ñu ngi leen ay nuyu yéen ñëpp seen tur ak seen sant di leen jaar bu baax a baax fu waaye mu ne si àddina ñu ngi leen ay jaar yéen mu ñoo seetaan si TikTok bi YouTube ak Facebook yéen ak ñoo seetaanee si suma page bi Facebook seetaanee ñu YouTube si Elite Media di ñu seetaanee tamit si Buhari Gassama page am bi si Facebook bi yéen ak ñoo seetaanee tamit si TikTok bi maa ngi leen a nuyu bu baax a baax surtout maa suma waa TikTok yéen moom bàyyi leen ñu ci benn boor saa yu ngeen a see rek ngeen ñëw fekkee nag li ñu war a indi tey nag gan gu màgg la am comme ni ma ko dee waxee rek saa su ne su ma ñëwee rek toog fi dama ne gan gu màgg laa am ba tey ci Gambie lañ nekk ñëwaguñ Sénégal demaguñ Amérique demaguñ yeneen ak yeneen dëkk yi waaye ba léegi ñu ci Gambien bi ba léegi di leen nuyu bu baax a baax ba léegi nag saa yu ma ñëwee rek toog foog ma fàttaliku ñi nga xam ne ñoom ñoo jàpp si programme bi surtout ma ki nga xam ne moom mooy the first person buñ commencé Diaspora profile ku ñu approach jàpp ci bu baax a baax muy Nene Jallow Tanji moom dëkk Sweden fii nii ñu ko gërëm bu baax a baax di ko sant parce que moom dafa jàpp ci liggéey bi may Nas Trading ñoom tam suñu sponsor lañ ñu ngi leen ay gërëm bu baax a baax Nas Cissé maa ngi koy nuyu di nuyu yaa may Bojang Fay Biram nekk Fay Biram Matex moom tamit ci Amérique ñu ngi koy nuyu Annoul Services nekk ci Oslo ñoom tamit GP service lañ soo bëggee yóbbu sa bagage from Oslo to Gambia dem leen Annoul Services dañ indi seen nombre léegi tey ci kanam ak tamit jëndal ma shipping company as well ñoom tamit fàttewuñ leen Global Property Sam ñoom tamit ñu nekk one of our main sponsors ñoom tamit jàppaleñ ci xeex bi bu baax ak ñeneen ak ñeneen xam naa si kanam tuuti rek nañ indi advert ngeen gis na ngeen ñoo ñu jàppale but still sponsors are welcome ku bëgg a jàpp ci programme bi rek jàppaleen parce que dañ bëgg a dem dëkk yu bëree bëri nag jàkkaarloo face à face ak ñi nga xam ne dañ leen bëgg a interview fii si big screen bi so maa ngi leen naa ñaan nag jàppaleen ci combat bi ay waay bàyyi leen suma week bi saa yu ma ñëwee ak prix ngeen wax ko kon ma dalal suma gan gi ana Musa indil ma Musa ma def face à face ak moom waay face à face Musa nuyu naa la
man fay naa la bu baax a baax a baax a baax mbaa def
yow yaa ngi Obama léegi yaa ngi be Obama ba léegi de Obama laa gis nii
jànxa ba ëllëg sakantuma after what happened last week
kay so yow daal yaa ngi Obama
ba ëllëg waaye maa ngi laa nuyu
okay
di nuyu Buhari di nuyu sa gaay yëpp ñi dee seetaan dégg naa nag ci sa introduction bi nga ne am nga gan gu màgg ma ne la amoon nga ay gan yu màgg waaye bii de moom kii moom bokk ci
kay ci la bokk de
especially after ma ne man foog naa ne yéen da ngeen ma nax
déet
couple of episodes ago am Ismaila Chongan.
Wow.
You're talking about a real hero. Someone ko xamne naka lañ ko waxati bima deglu seen interview bi and you guys went back to 1994.
Okay.
Nga xamé ne a lot of people institution capitulated. This is one individual that stood up and did not relent. That person gan gu magala. And then, of course, last week you had Dr. Ismaila Cisse.
Yes.
And someone called Hamne, obviously, with Balal Made Fadu Rahman.
No problem.
Calling.
Sila Boka.
Hello.
Okay, guys. Dafa am benn call important bu Musa di uy rek pour Sila Boka su ko uyoo ba pare dina ñëwaat nag ci waxtaan bi ak ñun
Balal ma Fatu Rahman.
No problem. No problem.
I'm going to be getting these distractions. Moy lolu rek.
Okay.
Wax rek nga am Dr. Ismaila Cisse, clearly, I mean, a Minister of Information. I mean, somebody ko xamne is a party leader. Ñooñu ay gan yu magale. Man mom, I'm just another average Joe.
Duma nangu lolu.
Mang la thank immensely. And I'm really honored. I mean, Fatu Rahman, it looks like, but I'm going to say this, And when I walked in, launch the magazine.
Okay.
And we came to the launching. You took me out of, I mean, I'm like, are you kidding me? And put me at the head table. I'm like, are you kidding me? There are a lot of important people here. And I mean, you didn't even know me. So to me, that says a lot about the person and who you are as an individual. And I appreciate you immensely, Fatou Rahman.
Ndeysaan, thank you so much. The feeling is mutual. Foog ñu def loolu parce que xëy na yéen da ngeen ko xamul rek waaye dafa am ñenn ci yéen dafa am foo leen egg ci man fu sori la nga bokk ci nag nga nekk bokk ci ñi nga xam ne dama leen naw torop di la follow nag ñun ñooy ñi dee follow ci window bi nit ñi duñ ñu gis waaye ñu ngi follow di seet liggéey bi di gis li ngeen daa def yëpp wax dëgg fa neex yàlla nga nekk koo xam ne da nga bokk ci ñi nga xam ne dama leen admire torop you an inspiration waaye suñ duggee si waxtaan bi bu baax a baax dinañ egg foofu nga nekk nag ku yaatu ku dal nag ku yaatu ku olofe waaye dinaa ñëw foofu ci kanam olofe akay waaye kontaan naa torop ku dalal la fii nii ci Diaspora profile it's an honor ba pare di nuyu Buhari Gassama moom mi nga xam ne is behind the screen moom nga xam ne moo dee def liggéey bu bari bii yëpp di ko gërëm di ko sant waa TikTok yéen a ngi ci biir yéen tamit share leen bu baax a baax tapate leen screen bi tap leen screen bi yéen waa TikTok so Musa Diaspora profile moom suñu indee suñu gan li ñu njëkk a def rek mooy dalal ko laaj ko rek pour mu wax ni moom mooy kan dañ koy tënka laaj la yow yaay kan nga wax ñu Musa kan la fan la juddoo fan la demee school ba fu mu demee school daal foofu la ñoo amee stobee su ko defee ma daal di dugal nag ci waxtaan bi bu baax a baax.
Waaw balaa maa pousse ci affaire yi controverse
waaw ci yu neex a neex yi non controverse du am.
waaye Fatou Rahman. and again thank you very much. man nag suma jaar it's not anything different from the average Gambian. wax dëgg yàlla man maa ngi juddoo Kawur suma waajur waa Kawur lañ man fana la and I always like to remind people of that. Why most of my growing up wax dëgg yàlla I mean Banjul la I mean James Senegal so I always fala li bari ci li ma xam foofu la waaye nag man Kawur laa juddoo and fala faxe I mean that's where I went to primary school Kawur Primary and I was an average student, if you want to call it that, if that even very average. Kawur at the time in the 70s was basically a booming town. For us, suma halel ya, tux cigarette, karta, ndongolu. Like I said, I was not an average student. Yalla japasi, I was able to pass common entrance and then Madam Banjul at the age of 12, 13, something like that. And I went to Gambia High School, and that's how I dëkk in Senegal with my brothers. Fast forward, Gambia High, there again, average student. So I 15, I 20, that's where I belong. But later on, before we get to O levels, I was hanging around a lot of smart people. These were my friends, the Lamin Barros of this world. Adam C. I mean, a lot of smart people.
Well, why did you do that? Did you do that pour mu gën laa yóbbuwaale pour nga gën a concentrate si jàng
like I said, I'm gonna be my new Gambia High, and then these were friends, people that I hang around with. Somebody like Lambs on Form 1, on St. Augustine. But these were people that I interact with, them town, club, do things together. They were very smart and they do well, and then you study things like that. So so whatever they two together and do things and that, stuff like that. I'm gonna guy come in there and then you become very competitive, and then I become very. Anytime you have an opportunity, then you start studying, and then you start doing well as well. So from there, fast forward, after Gambia High, I mean, because most of my friends, they went to Forabe, Ilife, Nusuka, University of Ibadan, and things like that. Man, I was in influenced by people like Adi Njai, moom daan teach chemistry, Muslim High. Moom moo doon say ak in days koñ la dëkkoon, Adiyatu Njai, blessed memory. He passed away. Moo doon say ak ñoom Ndey Si, mooy siyeen yooyu jëkk a jëm Sénégal, ñoom Hadijatu Si, ki nekkoon Minister of Education, ñoom Awa Si, ñoom Adama Si, you know, ñooñu family boobu. So moo doon say ak seen sister bi. So ñun jëm Sénégal lañ dëkkoon together. Adi Njai was from the US. This style, ñun ñëpp moo ñu influence on. And that's how I got this inspiration in America. And from there, with this influence, that's how I, just like most young Gambians after high school, Mangi, I'm this Bok also, I wanted to, and then I made it to the US with an I-20. Fast forward, I came to the US. I mean, like most Gambians.
Wa tegal fofu sa baram ñu delluwaat Gambia tuuti bala ñoo ñëw America parce que America sori na parce que yaa ngi bëgg a gaaw a jeexal te ni nga gis ni moom si boppam dafa am programme am for the people by the people léegi mu ngi bëgg a ñëw rek parax suma bos rek mu gaaw su ko defee mu gaaw nga ñi dee interview nit ñi ak ñi dee wax si social media duñu dee bëgg a ku leen interview loolu laa seetlu soo mu ngi bëgg a gaaw a daw coow bi waaye demaguloo ok
dëgg bu wér la
léegi fii sa kër la asama fa fii moom sa kër la fii nga bokka moom kenn mënu la cee génn ci li nga def lay def li ma def nga def soo fii sa kër la nga nekk xale bu xala comme dëgër boppa laay wax parce que bëggoon naa laa laaj ndax Musa dëgëroon na boppa tamit xale la dëgëru toon boppa waaye ci ni ma ko déggee comme ni nga def nga yëfi ndongo Banjul def nga yëfi ndongo Kawur ñëw Banjul waaw so ci la bokk loolu fanaa is a norm those days waaye am na ñoo xam ne dañ quiet woon jànga bi demee foo woon noonu just average student nga woon waaw wante ñu li fi nga remember nga time school social clubs yi ak yooyu na bokkoon nga si any club parce que dama bëgg a xam bu baax a baax.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know why I'm not even seeing myself now. What something crazy happened. Hold on.
Oi.
Okay, let me come back. Yes. You know, bima joge Kawur and I came to Gambia High, like I said, mangi yaro James Senegal. Ñun wa James Senegal lañ. I always tell Passa Bada. Mané ko ñun James Senegal with ñom Alhaji Sila suñ koto yi. I was part of a football club called Kondorong. I played second division. I played Gambia High School soccer as well. No. We were just being, it was just a name we pull out of a hat. This was during the time of young Augustinians gang for young among Nyomin African Nakati. Timmy Father Goff, the young Africans. So you Timmy Banjul and you Timmy James Senegal and you we like soccer. Soccer was the center. So I was a good player. I mean, as I was my nickname is actually called Zico. Pasamba.
Musa Zico merenala. What to be mangan do wara leka si million si. Parce que man duma ci ma football. Anti football bi yaay wara leka xam nga kurita ya nek commentator fofu nonu. No, lu ngeen Gambie ngeen ñoo def li da ngeen di sori ci football bi ngeen bañ. Lu waral lolu?
I was good, and I always remind Pasamba of that. So by the time dem Banjul, xam nga mom suma NCP la.
Wow, lolu gis na ko.
So di wax ak Alhaji Sila. Used to be the Gambian coach. Ne ko mané Musa Jeng dañ ko dé oyi Zico fo nga ne mun na play mu ne ko hey Zico mun na play mu ne ko lolu day duma ko wax. So in terms of club, really, I mean, soccer was my thing. I was very passionate about it. When it comes to Nawetan also, Damadan play Tali 8. I don't know whether you are very familiar with Banjul. I mean, that Spalding Cove, Tali 8 Cove, Bobulin.
Tali 8 at you.
Tali 8 is the same as Spalding Cove.
Spalding Cove, okay.
It's the same Tali Bobulin. So this Nawetan team being on Moy Tali 8. This was Timinium Chahingoing, Timinium KG5. You know, in very interesting times. So in terms of really, now, Digerona Bopa, not necessarily, but like I said, Yangi Nekandongo Banjul, you get them Krabaila, they play soccer, they took cigarette, the pep, speedy, wappy, those kind of influences.
Yeah.
Really, people that you hang around with. Yeah, I mean, I was that. But at the same time, too, I mean, at that time, I was fortunate enough. We have to put these things in perspective. Because Gambia at that time, you know how Nimfa Taje won. After common entrance, you know, okay, Nidemal Junior Secondary, Nidemal Fee, just because we didn't have enough high schools. So some of us were lucky enough to make it to high school. So man, I was kind of streaming on both. I mean, when I come home, I mean, James and I got, you know, but at the same time too, I was very much going to Gambia High School, making sure, you know, you do schooling, you do studies and things like that. You know, so
one primary school nga demon.
Kaur Primary. Like I said, Kaur like judo.
Wow.
And then after common entrance, that's when I came to Banjul. Banjul to go to high school. You know, so at that early age, 12, 13 time, you are not mature glow enough. You know, so you tend to pick up things here and there. But that's it, really. Now, like I said, manwa kaurla fana pir. But at an early age, you made it to, you go to bank. Now, some of my brothers, they actually went to Armitage. So their experiences are a little bit different than mine. You know, man,
So let them high school in Banjul. Meet a different set of people. Yeah,
right.
ñu bëgg jàng ay jàngis ñu bëgg jàng nga bokk nak ci crowd boobu noonu foofu nag moom kay léegi nag foofu naka la fa.
Well, what I mean is like you're hanging out with people. I mean, they were very smart. They're very, so you become also very competitive. But at the same time, I mean, not party kat lañu woon de.
Dama foogoon party bi wàññeeku la moo tax ma naan la foofu naka la woon.
Déedéet maa ngi fàttaliku suñu daan study sax and this was time in ñoom in passing out ceremony.
Waaw.
Dañoo tegagum list bi fii nii ne ok party passing out ceremony bi St. Joseph's fan la. Then we put it down. So ñoom seen date bi June la Kasorina, and then St. Augustine passing out kind of Gambia High and passing out kind of that kind of thing. We used to go to the Kasorinas. We used to go to Manthis. We used to go to, Bengdola. So, I mean, like I said, it's no different from most Gambians at that time going to high school, because you're talking about a period of from 73, 74, going all the way back to 81, 82. So,
ñaan naa la bul wax 70 ak 80 parce que su boobaa dinañ xam how naka laa waaw màgget laa na màgget tuba yow tam na màgget nga na màgget lo so dañ bàyyi loolu rek
non waaye yéen ay doo ko mun a daw
non man damaa daw man am sweet 16 man so ne 70 yow time bi nga wax noonu sax Musa mun naa laa ne juddoo gu ma de
na but noonu la fa taajoo de su ma la because yes.
Wow.
Yes. More noonu la fa taajoo de.
Waaw léegi kii naka la tuddaati Mama Gassama mu ngi laa nuyu mu ne yaay jëkkëram mu ngi laa nuyu ñoom Juga Cissé ñëpp ñu ngi seetaan ci TikTok bi ñoom ñu ngi ci TikTok bi kay so léegi nekk si high school waaw moom faana la moom xamoon naa dina ñëw parce que moom dafa raciste képp kuy nekk faana sooy ñëw si table bi Juga dina ñëw
waaye nag suma NCP la tamit
moom it NCP la kon foofu dina neex dina humba léegi nga nekk high school di def sa boys thing still def seen boys thing ba pare ngeen am seen clubs seen things yi ngeen a def and yooyu noonu nga jeexal high school right bi nga jeexalee high school ndax start nga liggéey Gambia ndax da nga ñëw straight America
yes I did bi ma jeexalee high school amoon na suma benn koto Mo George he still lives in England so moom mu ngi doon liggéey ci benn place bu ñu ooy African Home Stores and ci suñ koto yi la woon and then
Charlene White tap screen.
He was able to get me a job as a custom clerk. But like I said, I was not really into that. I mean, America rek mo nekkon ci suma boppa bi.
Da nga naxé won dal yow. Yow bundas rek.
No, west won na fofu. But most of my guys they already left. You know? Okay. So, xam nga yoyu rek. Most of them left and I was trying to I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. Well, that was the first job that I had. Custom clerk, African Home Store, my first exposure. You know, and that kind of thing, you know, and I still, that was the first experience, if you want to call it that. The damn customs get, documents ready for African Home Stores, goods guide the import, I'm gonna do the run around, that kind of a thing. So that was the first job I had. And then,
how much was your first salary?
oh my God, I cannot even remember that. Maybe $150, if that. If that.
And what did you do with that?
Patty.
Ah,
because did it at that time? You know, you were living with their brothers. Amulo, Amulo Wunjo, Wanga. I mean, Jahewulo Dapas. As long as I have enough money, something them Kasorina and say Nakalafa Tajo. I mean, that was the thing. And, but that was the first job that I had. And, Gambia during that time, it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, things were different. With that amount of money, I was able to do
a lot
things here and there. What about my own responsibility? I wasn't married or none of that. So,
so young and Gambia bobu dafa ute won. That's why I want us to stop at that junction to talk about Banjul Demba at Banjul Tay, because yak si diaspora bi tarang dem Banjul. Nan nga gisee Banjul Demba at Banjul Tay?
Banjul Demba, it was a smaller community. I mean, Banjul itself was the citadel of everything. I mean, the perception that we had was when you go past Denton Bridge, everything was considered sustainable. A friend of mine used to say that because every development, whether it's in terms of, pipe-borne water or whether it's in terms of electricity, everything was concentrated in Banjul. It was also well organized. I mean, so it was a different place. Now, there was, of course, democracy to some extent, but there was also families. Now, it's a little bit different. But I remember when I was living with my brother, it was about 15 of us.
Yeah.
And one person was basically providing for everybody.
Every home was welcoming. Yeah. Every home was
just
welcoming.
like that. So it was not very difficult.
As
long as Amagulo Jabarek, your responsibilities were very minimal. So whatever job that you have was basically just for you. So like I said, my first job, soon my first salary, them hang out, chi boys in nan attire and do our thing. So we can be just them to clubsy and things like that. That was just that. So it wasn't as difficult. Now, let's be honest. Lima de wax ne ñun Gambian ñun ñep ñoo em. Dang daan gis sax kuñ ne permanent sector la nga foog ne these people are the wealthiest people. Fekk ñoo amuñ dara. Ñun ñoo em. Because these people were just salaried officers. They were taking care of a whole family, but they were not rich or anything. So,
but now, a lot of people will think differently from you because they don't want a time bobu nono. Moy Nguri Jawara, of course. Ni nga ko waxee di ni di ko waxee guys borom xaalis yang fa woon. Borom xaalis yang fa woon. Ñu ngi liggéey and they had a lot of money. And di nga leen mën a differentiate. Di nga mën a ne okay. Kii moo jóge si wealthy family, kii ak kii ak kii. So ni ñu gisee wuñ ko, ni nga ko gisee ni.
Kaay ma waxal la.
Acha.
Sutura rek moo fa nekkoon.
Okay.
Ñu amuñ woon tene wante la. Why they were not rich. Let's come down to the people that were known to be rich during the 70s, all the way to the 80s. Okay. We all know each other.
Yeah.
When you talk about Musa Jeng,
okay.
He was a businessman. They'll tell you I'm buying Jai and Sons.
Sons, yeah. And you have Musa Jeng and Sons.
Musa Jeng and Sons. Exactly. So these were some petty businessmen. Why? Let me tell you this. They had access to commercial bank loans. That doesn't mean that those people are wealthy. They were not.
Okay.
Seriously. That is why immediately after the coup d'etat, those people couldn't even survive 1 week. So lan moy am xaalis boobu leen at that time so amee taxi kokiyas da nga am xaalis.
Waaw foog naa ñun noonu lañ daan nattee noonu lañ daan xamee ku am alal. Waaw
man my own brother Alhaji Ousainou Jeng Palampampore amoon na ñaari kokiyas and perseverance kokiyas and he was known as somebody who is rich. But looking at it, I don't think he was rich. Now looking at it, I don't think he was. But at that time, he was seen to be somebody who mun lu bari lu nit ñu munut.
Okay. So sutura bi la.
Sutura moo fa nekkoon. Waaye ku dem ci këri an average person Saturday ñëpp dañoo lekk supa bu correct na. Whether you are a teacher or whether you are a businessman. The 3 meals were there. Let's be honest. People could afford stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Things were very difficult. But there are certain basics that people could afford. And fast forward.
Don't you think that it wasn't even really the affordability? It was more of everybody was welcome si kër bu mun a nekka. So doo dee gis sax ne mun nga koo afford na mënuloo koo afford. Because ñëpp benn lañ woon Banjul démba bi. Or am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Just 3 weeks ago, my brother's wife had a law in Mondekun James, Senegal. Momwa Gloucester. I mean, she's well known. She just passed away.
Oh, you know,
and when she passed away, and the only thing that I remember, here you had a wife to a brother, a large family. My father had 4 wives in Kaur. I was the youngest in the family. Most of them, they're much older than I am. I was the last. My mom loved me so much. My father died early. So my mom was my dad as well. I remember Sumadan Joge Kaur, holidays did them Banjul. We had this bond with my mom. And she used to say, I'm a goodbye, Yoilin. So she would call my name, Musa Demal Tenyuak Jam. And I have to answer pour ñu mëna gisé waat.
Oh.
Ante Hadilo, ñun ñëpp fa lañ dëkkoon. 15, 16 brothers. In this day and age, no one in Banjul will accept brothers of large families na dang leen a feed.
No.
Di leen jox ndewo, di leen jox añ, di leen jox reer. Possible. So when she passed away, the only thing that came to my mind was, wow, this lady was a good person. What she was able to bear, feeding everybody, cousins, brothers, you name it. But right now, I don't think I can do that. I'm just there with my wife. Anybody else, but those days, things were different. People were much more receptive to that. The family mattered at that time. I'm be neku for one. It was the structure before nekon.
Yep.
And that's what kept it going. Mota manela tene wante rek mo fa nekon. Why ñooñu amuñu woon xaalis.
Juka mu ne sen alal those days of a barke woon.
Exactly. But lan mooy barke? If you don't want to be reduce it to a phrase, lan mooy barke? Barke mooy woon ne they were open, they understood what a family meant at that time. And that lolo taxoon mu barke. Now sa ama xaalis bu dul jeex, but you don't want to do that. You don't. So things are different. Now it's a little bit affaire yi dafa xaw a ute.
Dafa ute comme démba Banjul démba ak Banjul tey bi daal ute na lu bare bay. Musa ñu ñëw ci coup d'état bi fekkoon na la Gambia.
That's another story.
Ma bëgg xam naka nga ko dundee woon.
That's another story. xam nga dama dem America den ma ñëwaat.
Okay, da nga njëkk a dem America.
Waaw den ma ñëwaat.
Lu tax nga war a ñëwaat yow mu napse woon.
Dama napse. I came to the US, went through the fast forward. I got a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
And then went to Providence, Rhode Island. Dama fast forward nag léegi.
Well, fast forward and you dealt with because
I went to graduate school. I got a master's degree. my mother was getting old. You remember, I told you, my mother meant a lot to me.
A lot to you, yeah.
There was a strong bond. And I always, like most Gambians, danga ñëw at that time, nga janga, nga delu, so that you tamit nga nekk a local champion, nekk nga liggéey si nguur gi. I mean, ñun ñëpp that was our dream. Come here, get an education, go back home, and then be somebody, whatever the hell that means. My mother was getting older, and I wanted to come home. So in 1992, 93, I came back home to Gambia. I was lucky enough to get a job at the Independence Stadium, the one that is going through a whole lot of controversy lately.
I flagged it. Anyways, Bobu moy bi nga graduating nga del swat Gambia am a job again. A job again, yeah.
I applied. I went through the interview. Actually, the job that I wanted, I ended up not getting it. But they were
with your qualifications, yeah.
Qualifications, but it was very competitive because by the time Independence Stadium, it was going through renovations. Chinese, they were pumping a lot of money. Koto Yubari, they were interested in getting the job. I was in Gambia for 2 weeks, so I applied. Bima apply, I went to the interview with a lot of people. There were some of them were impressed with me, even though they know I was young and blah, 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 blah. But I was able to impress them. So Nyonyu, Buba Balde was minister. Galondo Gorenjai was the permanent secretary at that time. So they called me and said, you know, you're young, you just know. Why don't you become the deputy and then you help this guy? So I went ahead and I took that job. I'm going to America, you think you know it all. You think you can come and change things overnight.
Yeah, no, because everything was big.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. Okay.
And the cultural exposure being Amfini, now you come to Gambia, you are in a cultural setting, how different, and then you want to change it, and then you are getting a lot of pushback, but because of your lack of experience, because you're young, you know, and I can get it done. It didn't take long for me to realize, man, I'm operating within Buki, you get out. You know.
Why did you say that?
It's the same structure. You remember people talk about Manjang going to Social Security and trying to bring about change, and he got a lot of pushback during the time of Jawara Lolong for one day. It was there.
Okay.
There was corruption. It was there. So for someone like me,
and those days, I'm on that time. You have to know someone to get a job. It's whom you know. I'm on getting Lolinda.
That mattered, but there was always a process.
Okay.
The difference between a Jawara and a Jame was like, for instance, within the civil service, don't jump near a so a master's degree, permanent secretary. It was impossible. You go through a process. You will come and be assistant secretary, principal secretary, go through the cadre. Legally, Commissioner Sanga Dore. Yes, whom you know was always there. Networking is always the case. Bunyan Nahante. Why Tamit? There was a structure bohamne. Dokomuna nyorek, dealing challenge all over the place. So coming back to the coup d'etat, at that time, with the experience that I had after 1 year working in the Gambia, I thought that was the best thing that could happen. Because for me, the system was rotten. The system was bad. It needed to be changed. 30 years of Jawara was enough. Things were bad. That was the perspective that I had at that time. And when this young man came, he was speaking my language. Because my job,
but he was speaking your language in a different way, in a very bad way, though. Because a lot of people died, looting, begging.
No. But we did not see it in that way.
At
the beginning, people need to understand the state of mind of a lot of young people. They were hungry for change. Here you had a system that was there for 30 years. Things were not working. Gambia was not developing. You can name it. High schools were very limited. You can name it. There was no television. There was not a whole lot of things. Gambia was
all you guys could see was just change.
Yes.
No matter how it happened at the time.
It did not matter. Again, I want people to go back. When you want to go back to Yangi Fini, then you miss the context of how things were at that time. And that's the reason why people were very open to Jammeh. Here you have young soldiers saying we want accountability, probity, transparency. Talking about high schools. For the last 30 years, we only have 5 high schools. Everything is within the urban peri of Banjul. Come on. So put them high school, then put them high school. Those were the facts. He was not making them up. What the man did was he exploited the vulnerability of the citizens. Things were hard. Young people like me, yeah, Jammeh was the deal. Jilanka was the deal. Key dafa ñoo scramble yep.
Wow, but how so Kubi happened. A lot of your sister gis it was good then at that time. Yes. But after a while, when reality hit, was it Jangi still feel on the same way you felt? Or did you feel that no, this was completely wrong, it shouldn't have happened this way? Because instead of Mudafat,
it didn't take me long. It didn't take me long
to realize that.
To realize that this is the wrong thing that ever happened to this country. It is heading to a totally different direction. What really did it for me? What really did it for me was the murder of Usman Korosise.
Yes.
This is a guy we went to the same school together at Gambia High. I remember when the coup, there was a meeting at Independence Stadium. I was sitting, Koro was sitting. Koro was not even part of the APRC at the time.
Yes,
this was the same meeting that Bakari Bunjadabo came from Dakar. At the meeting, Bobo guy Nahnenkobe Indiko Defco Minister of Finance, and he was delivering this speech. Koro was there, I was there.
Yes, son.
And we all embraced it. Wow, Bakari Bunjadabo, at least he's giving these people credibility, especially to the international community. When Koro get murdered.
But Koro get murdered during the Jammeh time, but we still because
the coup happened in July.
Yeah.
Go back, fast forward. In November, first you had Tinga Amon the killing of the soldiers. November 11. So it didn't take long for people like me to realize, you know what? Banjul is going, is slipping very badly. During the time of Jawara, there was no such thing. Now, all of a sudden, people were getting slaughtered.
Well, ñu ngi déglu am na ñu laan déglu tam si TikTok bi so dugal si olof bu baax a baax parce que am na yet weera wat soo ko use in English rek daf dee dog live bi TikTok so léegi lañ ma ko di may
li gën a bon mooy faana bu yàgg bitim réew
faana ok faana bu yàgg bitim réew
pour nga wax li ngay wax nga ko ci anglais mooy gën a gaaw non in terms of mu flow but
léegi dama jël tuuti break but suma dellu say still I still want to stop at the coup naka li tax nga feeloon ne léegi lii was the wrong thing ak yéen naka ko dundee woon naka ngeen dundee woon the hardship I want to come to that so let's take a short break and when we come back nga dugga foofu noonu
Diaspora profile ñu am suñ main sponsor di Global Properties nag nekk ci Gambia foofu leen base dinañ leen bàyyil number yi ci suuf su ko defee ngeen daal di leen call nag fi nga toog ci Europe mun nga faa toog fi nga toog ci Amérique ak foo mun a toog ci àddina mun nga faa toog call Global Properties ñoom ñu lijjantal la kër gi nga xam ne yaa ngi ko bëgga boo leen callee rek di ngeen am more information comme niñ ko waxee rek Diaspora profile ñu ngi ànd ak suñ main sponsor di Global Properties.
Wow.
Oh, yo, Grand Villa. Nisa woya megara Grand Villa. Follow the water America wala Europe. Grand Villa. Ni lafta na dula na munantara Grand Villa. London meya megara Grand Villa na taka mo bese wandi. Kaluntal meya tiya kunde. Hani mamola jantel tiya kunde. Grand Villa sada se wandi. Grand Villa. Nisa woya megara Villa.
jërëjëf gannaaw buñu dellusiwaatee nag from our short break ñu dellusiwaat rek gërëmaat ñooñu nga xam ne ñoo jàpp si suñu combat diaspora profile gis ngeen leen global properties Grand Villa Fight Biram Maynas Trading Jindalma services avec Chic tamit ñu am neena Jallow Tanje moom di koy fàtte mukk Anur services ak Fat Jeng mi nga xam ne always time bu ma demee Stockholm moom ma daan make up mooy Jeng Sala nekk ci Stockholm ku mun liggéeyam kon ñu dellusiwaat nag ak Musa ci waxtaan bi peut-être duñ fàtte nag Pa Omar Jack parce que sound wéy yi ngeen a dégg ni yëpp ak naka sound si ngeen a gis ni yëpp moom moo ñu ko defaral diaspora profile ñu ngi ko gërëm bu baax a baax di ko santa bu baax Musa ñu dellusiwaat nag ci suñu waxtaan bi Mariama si nuyu na la moom tamit mu ngi ci TikTok bi mu ngi laa nuyu bu baax a baax mu ne brodaam bu baax nga sa fans yaa ngi TikTok de léegi daal nit ñi bàyyi Facebook nit ñi dañ bëgg a bàyyi Facebook Musa
loolu laa gis
TikTok rek léegi mbaa fàttaliku nga fi ma emoon ak yow fi nga tegoon sa tànka foofu
waaw nga ne ci coup d'état bi
ci coup d'état bi waaw dundin bi bi nga demee ba réalize ne look this shouldn't have happened naka ngeen ko dundee ak changes lan la change ak ban impact la amoon ci youth yi
at that time like I said ñun ñëpp we yearn for change bëggoon nañ change happen xam nga rek tàyyi woon nañ ci Jawara and xam nga rek and then there is always this what you call them the cabal ñi nga xam ne ñoom ñoo they were the movers and shakers su dara xewee rek ci ñoom la xam nga
ba lu tax ngeen taay woon si Jawara te léegi nit ñi suñ caalite rek ne nguuri Jawara daaxoon lan moo tax ngeen was it the 30 years or what was it
that's always the case gis nga always sooy dunda dara and then you look back danga jàppane li passé moo gënoon am na ñoo xam ne right now they will tell you ne you put a mic ci seen marché Serekunda ñu ne hey waaye bi fi jàmmee nekkee
kay
fàtte nañ so human being ñun we have that tendency now looking back I think ne definitely things were not as bad as niñ ko foogee woon you talk about corruption I mean President Jawara was not corrupt you talk about when people talk about the civil service that we had, the structure that we had, the things that I thought, now there was corruption. Because man dunda nako. I saw it. Chisuma boat man within the system. And that's why I hated it. But Jawara was there also for 30 years. If it wasn't for the coup, PPP will keep winning elections.
Okay.
Understand what I mean? Because the system, the level playing field was not as level as people think. Gis nga yi ñoo joy mu ngi fa woon buñ leen naxante those people were winning elections year after year they were doing the same thing that politicians are doing today understand nga nañ dem ci dex gi use money and influence dawal seen pajero yi these were low informed voters so the system was rotten at that time
si nit ñi seen gis-gis mooy ñi amoon rek ñoo continuer woon di am ñi ñaaxañ léegi na ñaax
bari wuñu woon waaye comme li ma la wax rek at least ku ci nekk kër goo dem dinañ mun a togg seen supa kanja samedi dinañ mun a fay whatever bills that they have loolu moom mu ngi fa woon understand nga ba pare di so called peace ak jàmm mu ngi fa woon xam nga comme suma maas gi man maa ngi liggéey while somebody else is taking care of my meals so obviously I was surviving understand nga How many Gambians among access to high school education? Very minimal. Thousands Nyodanjel primary school common entrance. When I walk into Form 1 Gambia High School, there were 36 students.
So do you si junction bo mun nga nangu ne that's where our problem started then. Problem being a hamne, it's like something they inherited.
Of course, it was there.
Youths then ñooñu daan toog campembere bi def yenn yi amuñ woon liggéey ñu ngi sofa because lu mu teg na door they're the ones ñu jur xale yi nga xam ne some of them not all ñu jur xale yi nga xam ne tey some of them are the youths yu nga xam ne ñoom tamit it's like the circle breakul it was just like this neexut a wax rek waaye dafa mel ni moo fa nekkoon
suma demee Gambia ba dem ci junction yi gis boy yaa ngi hang out di naan ataya di pon that's not new. It was the same thing then. Most of us were unemployed. The majority of young people were unemployed. Amuñ woon liggéey. There was some so graduated high school at that time. Wax dëgg yàlla mun nga am job ci banks yi xam nga loolu moom mu ngi fa woon. Why you're looking at a handful of people ñoo daan even am the opportunity to go to high school. For now, people tend to forget that. When you have thousands of people sitting for common entrance, then high school si decide ne ñoom seen mark bi lii la Senegal since man 30 lay jël Gambia xëy ne 30 lay jël Nusrat ne 30 and then nga am Muslim high school. These were few high schools. So the rest ñu ne yow da nga fail. ñii ñu ne dem leen Crab Island ñii ñu ne dem leen Pa Diouf ñii ñu ne demal Kawur Junior Secondary.
waaye tarawutoo nit doomi borom alali suñ félee sax they went to high school.
Well, let me tell you.
Lulu mo mung fa woon. I grew up seeing that.
But let me tell you. The reason why Domi Borom Aleli Dandem High School is because of the structure of their family unit. Look at the Akus, for instance. They made up 3%, 4% of the population. When you walk into any high school at that time, Form 1, the Akus were almost 15 to 20% of students in a high class. And the reason is simple. Non dañ amone xaliss bo sen papa yi ñom ñoy won civil servants sen papa yi ñom ñoo jangoon. So ñom they have exposure pour study, they have exposure to know what education means because you are what your environment is.
Yeah.
Common entrance. So fekke nak ne yow da nga let's say ne yow yaangi joge sutu Konding or sutu Koba. I mean, your parents are not educated. Your amulo electricity, amulo running water. I mean, you have a steeper hill to climb to younger muna pass common entrance.
Yeah.
So the system was bad then. The system, access to healthcare was horrible. People were dying in labor.
Why were people look at nini making want to make noise like they were making like they're making noise today? Because
noise.
They don't make noise. But okay, expose that you know.
Is the social media. Bobu Lulu Amuton. But people were making noise. Understand? People were actually making noise. No one needs to open supporting one government. They were not. We all used to go to rallies at Fitzgerald. We all used to go to rallies at Lovell Square. Even it was happening then. So whatever you see happening now, and you're thinking, hey, why time is they're just talking. Now, you gotta compare. You have to compare. Like I told you, Biku Hapune, man, I celebrated, I embraced it, support on Nako for one and the best thing that ever happened. Until I became a victim. Until I realized ne, Fiku wah de yangudul. I mean, this man wasn't playing.
And how did you become a victim?
You remember I told you that I was at the stadium, I mean, fighting the system. I was fighting the system. When they came, nothing changed. They handpicked someone from nowhere, bring those people, ne ñoom ñoo war a run place bi. I was left in a small office and marginalized. I was a nobody. So the very system that I thought made play a level playing field, find out how we can the accountability and the transparency. It didn't take long for me. And when I saw people, because of Nekon manager, NIB, most of my friends were there. When I see some of those people, Nulena FT truck, didn't you my I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've been a munge buga opa.
Hamga, ndeysaan am na loo xam ne interview bi moo ko laaj xam naa ne yaa ngi gis ne booba léegi maa ngi laa indiwaat ci coup bi parce que of course I did my research xam naa ne coup bi moom métti woon na ci ñëpp waaye xamoon naa ne tamit am na fu mu métti woon ci yow even though da nga believe that it was good then waaye interview dafa am lu mu laajte and allow me to say su ma dégloo wax bi bu baax a baax ci suma déggin dafa mel ni ne if you were not a victim because danga nekk a victim loolu moo tax nga change sa mind so if you are not a victim you see ndax dama laa laaj léegi ndax di nga fiiloon li nga fiil ba léegi if ñu ngi la bàyyoon sa place yaa ngi toppatoo soxla amuloo kenn problem everything was okay how would you feel?
No, let me tell you. Isn't it the easiest thing to do at that time for a young man like me? And I thought I know it all. All I had to do was to embrace and talk to the right people and support the Jammeh revolution, and I will be fine. I will be extremely fine. Look, there were people that were much more of a victim than I was. When I even used the word, because Gambians here, we were all victims.
Yeah.
I did not walk away because of I was a victim, per se. No, I was not. I was not arrested. I could have survived in 1994 because I was an outsider. I told you, when Usman Korosise was murdered, that made it for me. That was, I realized, you know what? I need to get out of Dodge. Remember, I was in Gambia in 1993. It didn't take long. It was just 1 year. And I told you, I came home because of my mother.
Yeah.
And that was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Listen.
So Julie Jotemadem Juliji, Onasanga Kaur, the family thing, the bonding. She was getting old. And also, I was lucky to get married at that time. So when I came home, it was like, and also, I was lucky enough that I got married. So things change. And I'm like, okay. I was just there for like a year and a half. It was just a question of sweat it out. And I was not a supporter of the government. And I was exposed to a lot of things that I could have stadium I could have done that. A lot of people were doing that. But like I told you, because of the way the system was, I embraced the Jammeh coup d'etat. When it became very clear, and people were getting killed.
Well, time we were not fully aware, aware of people getting killed. That time nini dundandega sente nunu aksene munge rey we met yoy Legi len ko gëna dégg dafa melni.
No. When November 11, it was Jaharang.
Wow, November 11, wow, mu ko won wow. Ba xam nga November 11 bi nit ñi ñu nan ñoom la du ñoom ni xam nga doubt ci mu ngi bari won comme légui ni ko gisé won bu TRR TV ñëwé xam nga it's a different ball game.
Nah, ñi ko bëgg gis nañ ko, ñi ko bëgg gis. But at that time, Fatou Rahman, honest to God, everybody knew it. Xam nga la taxoon nga xam ne nit ñi xam nañ ne ñu ngi ré. People were afraid. Kenn ñemeent la wax.
Waaw ñu noot de wax nga dëgg de
mekaral gi suma mbokki fana ñu ne mekaral gi am na lu ko waral there was a reason why nit ñang ne mekaral ñeme ñu lay wax dara people also saw ne nit ñi ñu leen jël di leen yóbbu mile 2 people saw that fii kenn dofu fi ñi nga xam ne they were the most important people ñi nga xam ne da nga leen gis ne ñi kat ñoom Ousseynou Ndiaye on a sanga li ma the movers and shakers, Babu Sise. NIB ñi fa nekkoon ñoom backs. NIB, it didn't take them long to destroy the entire institution, change it overnight.
So fofu time bobu nak hardship bi mu duggé ak yoy yep nga feel ne okay, it's time to go back to America.
Waaw mané xara ma tak samay debas.
Ma def nanka pak samay dobos
dem ca fa la ma xamoon. My mother also embraced it.
Yeah.
Ma yeen seen dëgg bi mu ngi yaxu. Jawara xale yi, most of these older people booboy dellu ca la nga xam. I mean, I was a green card holder at that time. I was in Gambia for 2-3 years, something like that. So I Balal Mare.
No, it's okay. Yéen mu nekk si TikTok bi please tap leen screen bi share leen live bi ndax mu dem sori parce que ñu ngi déglu waxtaan bu neex tey lu interesting lañ nekk di déglu nii so tap leen screen bi ngeen share live bi parce que eggaguñ sax si neex yi waxtaan bi fu bare ngeen ñëw foo xam ne di ngeen ko enjoy daal so wax leen a ñaan rek tap leen screen bi.
I know it's very easy pour nit ñi ne the reason why individual Sangam was against Sangam is because of dañ ko sonal moom. No, no. That is not always the reason. The decision that I made was for me and for me only. What was good for me.
But before you left, did you have any problem with the Jammeh government, or you didn't have any problem with it?
No problem at all. No problem. At that time, then I wouldn't even be able to get out of town. It wasn't possible. And I flew out of Banjul International. So that was not the thing. What I had was an option. Mangi am a green card holder la won. Gis na ne fi dal ni affaire yi di demé ni du fa baxé. I was able to get a visa for my wife. Mom, she had a visa before.
Okay.
So man ko tagal say debas nga demagum man ma set nakala. And let me wait this out and see ni affaire yi di demé ni. When we got to the early part of 1996, Chila made the decision, I am going to get out of here. It wasn't because of they did anything to me. No. So,
but before again, I'm on few nit yow ak few nit ngeen start di wax ne okay, things are not going right. This government is not going to do it. He's too much and stuff like that. Start on to feel something against Jammeh government.
Oh, I hated the Jammeh government. Like I said, when people started getting killed, when people started being thrown, when people that were well respected, just because they are government officials and you are accusing them of corruption, I had a problem with that. I had a serious problem with the ways they were doing things.
I remember when they came to Banjul. I remember, but don't name names because send them I see.
Whatever I thought of them, because I'm a system. These people were not progressive enough for me.
Private agent, thank you so much, whoever you are.
Looking back, I was young and naive. Things tend to work a little bit differently. Why man nima ko gisee woon as a young guy, mooy woon ne the Jawara government, they don't have anything to show for. So when change happened, I thought it was an opportunity to do things differently, because the political, political change was ever possible at that time. I really did not see that. Form political party contest against the PPP and go win. No, that was not possible. People, but at that time, it was almost impossible. Remember, Jawara won almost 57%. The last election was 1992. He won majority, 57%, maybe even more than that. So that is why some of us, I was not a very political person. I was young. I was not political at all. Why embrace so nyun change be? Because we know koto yang no elbow, fin buga dem munuñ fa dem.
Yeah.
Understand? So you feel like, you embrace the change. When they started humiliating people and killing people, man, this is not for me.
So fast forward, Musa, jabaram ñëw moom itamit mu del si America.
America, correct.
Léegi bi nga del si America, xamoon naa ne ñëwoon nga before and it was whole different atmosphere. Everything was completely different from, Gambia moom ku fa jógee rek dem America da ngaa ne you came from a village da ngaa ooyee dëkk boobu village.
Yes.
nga ñëw nag si city bi big people. People talk big, everything is big. Lu nekk big. Now, lolu waroon naa la ko laaj waaye fast forward nañ nga dellusiwaat this time pour ñëw dëkka. What was it like? Bi nga dellusiwaatee pour dëkka.
Yeah, just
nekk an immigrant. Immigrant.
Remember, I was here like 8-9 years before, so I know America well at that time.
Oh, danga fi dëkkoon lu yàgga dama foog ne danga fa dëkk short time like graduate rek dellu.
No, like I said. I went through a bachelor's degree. I went through graduate school, get a master's. So I was here for a long time. I was a bachelor. I lived in the Midwest, and I lived in the Northeast. You do your thing, you get your job, blah blah. It was nice. Responsibilities were very limited. Then, but remember though, America was hard too. Them. All in my mind, call them the generation of the 80s. Yet my own, fi janga, dem Gambia neka boss. Understand what I mean? Because those were the role models. So that was always at the back of my mind. And that is why I forced myself to go back. Even though it was
wow.
Yeah, especially suma dem and Gambia, suma friends. You get NIB, ma duga sen office yi, sen togu yangi mak. They were important people. Man mangi joge America, su suñ liggéey yi buree butut yi nii.
Wow, mu meet lool. Okay.
You know what? I want to go home and be somebody.
That's good though. That's good though. At that time, yeah.
I want to go home to be somebody.
Yeah.
Like I said, also, of course, my mom. So when Jamie came, things didn't work out. So I'm coming back. Now it's a family. Now it's totally different.
Yeah.
That's when I came to Atlanta. Understand? Settled. And this was in 1996, I think.
96.
Yes. And I've been.
Let
me put it this way. Because of Mandeko Nafi.
Wow.
It's different from.
Why Dekon fa? What's the tahne munta meti? Because I'm not deka fi deluwat mu meti stata.
Right. Well, compared to a new immigrant, even though man America the way things work. So my expectations were not all over the place. All I knew, at least I had my papers. At least I had social security. At least the moment my land, the next day I was able to. I'm on a skill sets. Skill sets meaning I better.
Okay.
So we don't like them apply job. The first job I had at the time was with, like I said, I'm in the hospitality industry. So I was able to get a job in the Marriott. Met you not because of family need, but compared to Lama Bayi Fele, every day, I was definitely at a better place.
Better place, yeah.
Yes, no
matter how it was, yeah.
My wife was able to settle. Atlanta was nice, and we were doing our thing. And life is normal. So definitely, and that was the reason I made the decision. Because you see, Father Rama, I'm Ben Domi Adam. Ko hamne, they make any decision on earth. The first consideration is always self. Sabopanjeka before anything. So every decision that I made, leaving Banjul, coming to the US, it wasn't to fight Jame. It was to take care of me.
Yeah.
What's good for me. That was the motivating factor. And that's why I came back. Now, when I came back, I also realized that something needs to be done to bring about change back home.
Back home, yeah.
Yes.
That this was the very early stage being a Delta or after after a few years.
Remember, It was 1996 that I came back.
Yes.
At that time, in the diaspora, we were not as organized as people think, lady. The only platform that was available at that time was called the Gambia L.
Gambia L, yeah.
Gambia L. So the people that were willing to fight Jammeh at that time, and remember, there were few. The people that were willing to go to a demonstration in Washington or in Atlanta or in New York, they were very few. When you go to Washington, Pasamba Jaw, Son Benga, Usenu Benga, Karamba Ture, Fatou Jaw Mane, Nungale na Conte.
Fatou Jaw Mane, one of the first jigéen ñu taxaw.
Yes! 90% of people living in the diaspora, ñeme ñu yëngatu sax o wax.
Waaye ñu ko ngunu ci biir kër yi waaye kenn génnu gannaaw yi.
Yes, it wasn't worth it for them. They don't want to take the risk. Who would want to do that? Sunday mo lay call. How many calls did I receive from my mother? Xana dang ma bëgg ray suma dé nak ta do fi mëna ñëw. Noppil, dom noppil. It wasn't me alone. It wasn't because I'm brave. Gis nga nit ku nekk. Nit ku nekk da nga am nattu. Yow Fatou Rahman koka da nga am nattu. Sa nattu ñu ne tool bi yaana yaa ngi béy sa waar. The best way you can.
Ay suma nattu mooy social media kañ lay bàyyi ay waay li nattu la.
Mooy sa nattu.
Nattu la.
Nattu la.
So man when nattu la de.
The friends that I ended up having, knowing them, ñun ñëpp ñoo bokk benn feebar. Whether it's Bangamane, whether it's Pasamba Jaw, whether it's Karamba Ture, whether it's Ibrahima Diba, whether it's Alkali Conte, the people that were committed to fight the system back home. So how were we doing it? You go to Gambia L.
So yen rek la woon ci beginning bi.
But I don't want to, I was just throwing names just to kind of give people there were very few people that were willing pour waste time. Most people
Gambia dama bëggoon a xam rek Gambia L naka la come about ak xam nga
Gambia L, there was this guy called Katim Touré moom mu ngi nekkoon somewhere in Madison, Wisconsin, here in the US. They put together this listserv where people can go, they can subscribe. So subscribe and then you go to the platform. But Facebook amude. This social media was very at its infancy. So you ñep ko la ñoo dem moy won marché bi ki binda ana sangali mo min ki tontu ki binda ki debate ki tontu ñom Amadou Skatre Jane, there were a lot of people. Ana sangali mo min xam nga now fi nga xamé ñi ragal ak ñi ragalut am na ñoo xamné duñ ko laal they will not touch it with the 100-foot pole because xamone nañ ne the NIA they were looking at the Gambia L. Ki wax ak kan la wax ak ki kan la.
But do you think that okay xawma naka la ko fooguloo ne am na ñu nga xam ne bëggoon nañ cee bokk waaye problème bi mooy xalaat seen mbokk yi back home too much.
Look, we were all getting the same calls. Banjul dafa tuuti. Ku ci nekk ñun xam nañ suñ kilifa yi naka lañ mel. Understand nga? So ñun ñëpp we were getting the same kind of pressure.
But don't you think that was the reason?
Of course. Also the survival instinct. Xam nga wana la bena wax manela nit ku nekk initially it's about you. Self-interest first. Lolu dañ am pour nangul ko. It's always about self-interest first. Ndax li jaral namako o li jaralumako. Dafa am ñoo xam ne nag dañ am nattu. So ñi nga xam ne nag loolu mooy seen nattu. They stick with it. Siga Jang loolu nattoom la.
Ndeysaan.
People would question. Xam nga we have a tendency ne soo gisee nit ki def dara rek am na lu tax. Of course ku ci nekk ci loo bokka dafa am lu tax. But at that time am na ñoo xam ne jaral leen ko am na ñoo xam ne bugga nañu December jot ñu dem Gambia time Jammeh la wax de.
enjoy,
and they were not
so
going to
bugun dara len ko yaxal. Because this comes, because yen Gambia and all of these things comes with a sacrifice of not even halatum Gambia. Yeah. Wow. Am nañu ko bëggutoon a def. Yeah.
Am nañu daan binda waaye la ñoo binda dañ koo seet.
Okay.
Understand li ma mean? They are very careful the way they write, what they write, how they write it. Ba ëllëg xam nga yaa ngi gis, and maybe we will get to that, when Dr. Ismaila accused Alaji Barrow, ne ko danga ragaloon moo tax nga doon use Ivan Saab, and Alaji Barrow was able to go and dig in the archives of the listserv, because this is what I used to write. So people were writing. So anyway, so Gambia L was the place to be. That's where the struggle started. Fala Dore.
Foofu laa bëggoon a xam lan moo indi struggle bi, and why was it named the struggle? Naka la struggle bi ñëwee?
Fala Dore. Xam nga struggle moom is an English word.
More English word. Ñu struggle rek. Struggle waaw.
I mean every.
Waaye lan moo ko tuddee loolu? Lu ko tuddee struggle bi?
Yeah, I think
munoon na moo tudda Jammeh, munoon na moo tudda anything, but you guys said struggle.
There wasn't any naka lañ ko waxee. Like I said, the diaspora, we were not that organized. Xam nga comme ni organized léegi melutoon noonu de. Gambia El bi moo ñëw indi foofu yëpp, and then you have George Sarr with his Gambia Post.
Ndeysaan.
Gis nga saaga yi ni xuloo yi ni nga gis ni ci social media bi. Ku foog ne tey la door. Ak nga mistake. Gambia El
dégg naa boobu gënoon a métti sax.
Moo gën a garaaw.
Loolu laa dégg.
Accusation of tribalism and all of that. Who was there? Loo fi gisati rek du lu ees. Moo tax for folks like me that we were there during the journey, dara mënuma yëngal oo jaxal ma. And I'm not saying this to boost my anything, because I've seen it. I've seen the movie before. Gisoo naa ko, and how it naka la affaire yi mujjee. So Gambia L was it, and then I mean, you ask me then how did we? Then we needed to organize. Because if you're going to fight a dictator, you have to organize. The first opportunity came 2001 elections. There was a lot of us supporting the UDP-PPP alliance so that they can defeat Jammeh. We all contributed financially. Here in Atlanta, yangi amon ñoom Keba Jallow, ñoom Amadou Lo, ñoom Omar Faye.
Yes, sir.
All of these players, so ñoom, they were the ones responsible for raising funds in the Atlanta area. Washington, ñoom Karamba Toure, few of the guys in also North Carolina, raising funds to help the UDP-PPP alliance. And when Jammeh got re-elected, everything changed. Onasanga. When Jammeh got elected, and then people in Gambia like Amadou Skatejane, that's when he switched over and supported Jammeh and went back home and became a minister. So this so-called that is just part of the nature of politics.
What correct flip-flop the yagana?
Flip-flop the yagana, but that's just a political, that is just part of politics. People flip-flop for different reasons.
But how did you guys feel? Because the one there, struggle is very strong. People were coming in, joining re-election.
No, that was its infancy. Like I said, that time it wasn't organized. Everything was Gambia. And everything that.
But you have more people. Why? I'm on more people. Yeah.
Well, we had more people, but like I said, Bente, it wasn't organized as a unit. Then you make the infighting, let alone. So when Amadou Skatred went, people attack him. But remember, guy APRC, you on Gambia El Tamit, Nyom Esa Bokarsi. So they used to fight back. So it was more of an intellectual back and forth. But it needed to morph from that to something a little bit more.
No, it's okay.
Hello?
So my guy TikTok. affaire si neex na interesting na nga yéen a ko enjoy yu leen ko su fekkee yéen a ko enjoy yéen mu nekk si TikTok bi maa ngi leen a ñaan rek tap leen screen bi ba pare share leen soo leen share rek yëpp si dina mën a egg fu sori waa Facebook moom jërëjëf gis nañ seen comment yi appreciate nañ ko trop jërëjëf gis ngeen diaspora profile lii rek lañ leen bëggoon a indil rek boole ñun ñëpp nekk benn because am na ñoo xam ne gis ngeen leen gis ngeen leen dégg di ngeen ne gis fi diaspora profile fii ñu indi leen waxtaan ak ñoom xam nga ngeen ñu dégg struggle bi because struggle bi ñi ci nekkoon dafa bari war nañoo mën a dégg ci ñoom even though dégg nañ seen story many places but still du tere repeat rek xam nga léegi-léegi ñu war toog fee na sax wax ko ak la ñoo wax léegi xëj na ñu fàttaliku la nga xam ne waxuñ ko woon ba ñoo njëkk a wax so ku si mel ni Musa Jeng tey ndaanaan yi laa indi tey wax dëgg fa ne yàlla kii man de loolu laa wax de rôle am na luñ playal luñ defal Gambien bi moo tax dafa am na foo xam ne naa fa ñëw si kanam waaye duma fa dugal léegi indilaat ma Musa ñu dekkali waxtaan bi fa mel ni pare na am kii ni
so when we decided that maybe we need to be a little bit more organized if Jammeh is going to be removed. So fast forward. When anybody tells a story, I can only tell it. Sumay joxe man lima wax moy man nima ko gisee. Witness. And maybe we'll tell the story a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Understand nga? So man wanal ne Gambia L mo fi nekkon fa lañ dan tessé fa lañ dan back and forth fa la xex bi nekkon. Moy the epicenter of the struggle moy bantaba bi fana ne datti gi nga xamne ñun ñepp dinañ fa dem.
Saga ba fa la woon xaste ba fa la woon janga ba fa la woon lépp
kenn moomu ko in fact sax Gambia El biñ dooree di li ñu restrict managers yi ne lii allow nañ ko lii allowuñ ko ci la Gambia Post George Sarr génn ne you know what ñun kenn duñu restrict create di Gambia Post rebels yi yëpp génn Gambia El dem Gambia Post lu leen neex wax
ndeysaan freedom
people say whatever it didn't take long Gambia El kind of died because everybody bantaba bi yep Gambia Post la woon under George Sarr. So fast forward. We want to organize 2001 ñëw na Jammeh won. People still continue to get killed. Data Haidara. I mean, you know. So we need to organize.
Lolo lan la leen def biñ lu electé Jammeh lan la leen def yéen.
It was hurtful. It was difficult. I mean, people think about, you know what? Why don't I take care of my family? Toppatoo suma bopp.
Wow, am nañu pull back. Lolo indi na woon ñu pull back.
Yes, they're like, you know what? This is not work for me because there was no way to change at that time. Faru Rahman, I mean, poor gis ne Jammeh can be removed. Nekku fa woon, and that is why it was lonely. Ñim ko jaraloon bari wuñu. Bilahi géej gi léegi la neex rek.
Ndeysaan.
Demewutoon noonu. All right? Xam nga wana la ñi nekkoon Washington di su Jammeh ñëwee ñoom Pa Samba Jaw ñoom ñetta o ñeenti nit o juróomi nit a Yasu bi Cissé. Oh, that lady is an iron lady. She was always there. There were few. Washington DC ak nim ree ak beri Gambian 5,000 to 6,000. Mun nga neem juróomi nit mbaa juróom ñetta.
Ñu daan dem.
So anyway, fast forward, we need to organize. Here in Atlanta, I was here with the bankermanes of this world. We had the organization called Ajera.
Yeah. Ajera ñëwee. Wow.
We organized July 4th. July 4th was the best calendar event all over the world. Ajera was the leading organization in the diaspora.
So Ajera, you are the founders of Ajera. Na da ngeen ñëw fekk bi nga del ci America da nga ñëw fekk Gambian organization bi lifin ba pare.
Like boobu beneen waxtaan la. Because bi ma ñëwee.
Nga wax yi ñëw rek tey bi si wax la. Nay leer.
Bi ma ñëwee. Ajera. Dañ fi fokke benn Gambian association. Association boobu tamit ñu daan organize July 4th. But it was small. Within the Gambian community, soccer la woon ak party. Then we know some other people were here. It didn't take long. Xam nga Gambian rek organisation bu njëkk xëccoo dafa am. So we got into a lot of xëccoo ak fight. Xam nga. And then the community was divided as well. Then out of that, ñu am ay ñaari July 4th, ñi organize. Xam nga. Affaire bi ne kur. But then we had to come together. You know what? We are a small community.
Yeah.
If we cannot come together, this thing will work.
Okay.
Nyom Habib Mbaye, Kotoyi, and Nyom Sal. So we all came together. We formed an organization called AGERA, Atlanta Gambia Emergency Relief Association. It wasn't a political entity. We organized July 4th, so Japale, and it didn't take long. We were even sending medical supplies to
the Gambia.
So we were doing a lot of good things. What Bankamane and myself, we were like the political people within the organization. Understand? Yeah, the organization was apolitical.
Well, Memo for 1 second, like Diaspora profile, if I'm honest, for egg and they have a line to for people to call in. But come no correct the fair do monitor calls accurate. But if you're gonna call in, so call it, please try like the think ko def ko mugata. 5 callers like you allow 5 people. So then buge call like is the number you can call, and so I may learn bugawa. Musa rek mun ngeen ko ci yoka bo len bëggé tamit sponsor show bi ñoo leen ngeen wax ko fi yeen mi nekk TikTok the number to call is +44745905705 ñi nekk TikTok please bilal leen mako number UK la is 447495 no must start again 447459057065 Marco, one more time, TikTok. It's 447459057065. Thank you very much, Mariamasi. Okay. Juka muna slow down. Hey, why man anti Juka? Okay. For now, binaneng ko, Ma'am Lisa, mangla nuyu yeen mi nek ci TikTok bi yeen ñe mang leen nuyu bu baaxa baaxa. Bu fekkee ne dafa am ko bëgg ko duggé TikTok si bopam rek na send message force ne dafa bëgg dugga TikTok su ko defee ma mun ko jël up because maa ngi gis ay request te bëgg maa jël request yooyu ñu ñëw génne ñu si luñ nekk nii all right Musa ñu jàkkali foofu.
So coming back we were in the diaspora, we are fighting Jammeh, we were not organized, we needed to organize so that we can all under one umbrella. Penal Nala association that were in Atlanta fought that we have Kulo, Kasante, Her came back together, unite and form an organization called AGERA. AGERA was doing big things. Gambians from Europe, from Banjul, Jangha yep they want to come to Atlanta. Ku ci bëgg ñëw sol sa sip bu gàtt da ngay ut
ay waay booba jamono
boobu fii la raay bi tene woon like
waaye yow yaa banka daal ca ruube ba nga ngeen bëggoon ruube di ruube Gambian association bi bu nga fa indi fi politique gars yi bañ
bëggoon nañoo indi politique but there was a pushback waaye ñun xam nañ ne if we do it in a certain way it will work. So we came up with an idea ne dañ bugg a indi politicians to Atlanta July 4th. And niñ ko doon selee mooy ne July 4th bi is big. Niñ ko oppune mooy ne su fekkee ne indi nañ all these big time name politicians to Atlanta July, then nga gis ne people will come all over the world.
Okay.
Xam nga, it's going to make it big. Some were receptive, some were very suspicious of ñun li ñoo jéema def.
Okay.
Understand nga? Ñu ne leen ñun we're going to invite all the political parties, including even APRC. Understand nga? Just so that people will say, okay, all right, okay.
It's fair and balanced.
It's fair and balanced.
Balanced, yeah.
Again, under the leadership of the Habibs, the Salum, ñoom tamit in a way they were very sympathetic. ñoom tamit they are very political. te ñoom ñooy woon mag yi ba pare Habib mooy woon chairman bi at that time. You know, Anka ak man tamit amoon nañ kaddu ci organisation bi.
Wow.
Yes, we were very influential. So we used the diaspora. We organized what we call the Meet the Diaspora Summit that brought all the politicians to Atlanta. UDP sent a representative. That was the Deputy Secretary General, Yaya Jallo. Then there was Halifa Sallah. And there was Mawaji, Omar Amadou Jallo. There was all the parties were represented. NRP was represented. We had a huge meeting at the July 4th. Out of that meeting, fast forward, out of that meeting, for the first time, opposition parties were able to come under one hall. Remember, Yefi coalition started in the Gambia before.
They didn't know wow.
They didn't come, hall, even Dakar. I remember the one that was attempted in 2001 and Sirif Diba walked away. Because I don't have YMCA. Understand? Halifa Sallah never attended that meeting either. So what we were able to do is to bring them under one roof to talk about Gambia. Understand? So out of that, with the Diaspora Summit, APRC never came because Esa Bokasi was supposed to be the keynote speaker. That was the compromise that we made. But Amulen Colonel, hey, they're up to no good. So they ended up not coming. Why Santiala? Because all along we didn't even want them to come. But to satisfy some of the people that were in the organization, because we were apolitical, organization political. So to appease them, we just make it open. So after meeting now, there was an other group. After meeting the Diaspora Summit the next day there was a meeting organized at Morehouse University here in Atlanta. Okay. The people that were involved, Nyom Keba Foon, Nyom Joe Sambu, Nyun Tamit, all of us were there. Out of that meeting, the first step, because the low gisati, am na fundore. The 2016 coalition binga gis nonu, and they were finally able to defeat Jammeh. Faladore. Kula wakul lolu.
Kon gene na some part si struggle gi dal ko lolu.
Kula wakul lolu. Kamut limi wax. Seriously. And I seriously mean that. Because out of that, an organization called Save the Gambia Democracy Project was formed. Out of that, Halifa Sallah was nominated to be the chairperson of a coalition that was supposed to be formed. And they all agreed in principle. Faladore, moidega.
Okay.
So they went back home. And out of that, fast forward, again, if you coalition ini yagana de, but in a meanders and contours, ban and accusation and counter accusation. But at the end of the day, we organize called Save the Gambia Democracy Project. Nyom Delu, being our partners, you organize and came NAT. NAT was on the first coalition getting ready for 2006.
The NAT, nyan organize NAT.
All the opposition parties no organized on NAT. They all signed on the dotted line.
No, why they you sign. Why you want the key people okay, we need to do this. You all party, you join in one.
Like I said, when they came out of that meeting, Omar Amadou Jallo, Momo select on Halifa for him to be the coordinator, to coordinate all the opposition parties so that ñom suñ delo they will further, because ñu liñ task on ñu liñ waxon moy ne Jammeh will never be able to be removed unless and until you guys come together.
Yeah.
1996 it didn't work. 2001 it didn't work. Am na kuy comment di wax ne dañ ko sàcca. Maybe dañ ko sàcca. Man duma dee bëgg déggal nonu sax. Because we are wasting our time. So they came back on the ground in the Gambia and they formed NAT. They went to one of the hotels. UDP signed by Alaji Usainu, Ahmad Ba, Omar Amadou Jallo, Halifa Sallah, and Wajwara.
Yeah.
They all committed. We're going to form NAT and we're going to contest the elections come in 2006.
But was it done behind closed doors? That time you go lead them on.
They go Atlanta Fini.
Okay.
They saw what was happening on the ground as well. They had a meeting at the hotel. A memorandum of understanding was signed and they put it out there. So Jammeh knew, and Jammeh was scared to death. For the first time, he was rattled. xam na ne ñii nii suñ
caaxaan
ngembantee
fàqe mu ne ñii caaxaan fàqe
dina dem. Fast forward 3 by-elections that was held under NAT, Jammeh was defeated for the first time. Seriously. So NAT, instead of 2016, 2006 Jammeh would have been gone.
lan moo tax demut lu ko yaaxa ba demut
lu naqadee wax la
jéemal rek tuuti parce que da nga ne 2006 Jammeh waroon na moo dem
xam nga li xew
ko am na lu tax demut
gis nga problème bi tax demut problème boobu ben tey ñu ngi ko dunda the worst thing you can do is to relitigate di nuyuwaat NAT and then try to point fingers soo ko defee rek da ngaa yaaxa su fekkee ne yow you want change you gotta be very careful the way you point fingers because dafa yaaxa let me put it this way they came together they signed memorandum of understanding to yow 2016 yaa ngi fi woon
ñu ngi fi waaw
sign on nañ memorandum of understanding dëgg la oo fen
dëgg la
agreement bi fa nekkoon tu moo fa nekkoon
waaw
did people leave did they abide by it came 2016 bañ génnee Jammeh what happened
ku nekk dem sa yoon
that's exactly what happened in 2006 the only difference mooy ne egguñ woon pour génnee Jammeh waaye bañ demee ba ca naka la ko olof yi waxee ba ca cël ba
capaandaw ga
capaandaw ga ñu ne kan mooy lead kan moo war a jël batin bi ñëpp farleel la fala affaire yaaxu
boobu daal kenn bëggu koo bàyyi sa morom fala dee yaaxoo rek saa su ne
when you talk to different parties ku ci nekk am nga sa explanation ku ci nekk and you will have to respect that I have my explanation and I wrote about it man wax naa how UDP contributed to the failure of NAT wax naa how Halifa Sallah contributed to the failure of NAT wax naa how Waa Jawara contributed to the failure of NAT wax naa how Ahmad Bah contributed to the failure of NAT it did not disintegrate just by one
comme ñoom ñëpp a tax mu fail daal
am na loo ci def
waaw mosal ñu
ku ci nekk am na loo ci def
lan la UDP def lu UDP def
non comme li ma laa wax I am one person who believes that there is a need for change come 2026 and change can only happen by ñu jéem a defar when you revisit li nga xam ne dafa yaaxoon dafa yaax dafa am accusation am counter accusation su ma la waxee lan la UDP def yoo xam nga ne UDP man duñ ma dee yërëm
baalaluñ la dara
ma ni baralu ma leen dara ñoom xam nañ ne man I speak my mind
moo tax tey maa ngi laa dugalaat lan la UDP def
you know UDP look from the onset the question was what kind of a coalition are we going to get li ma mean so in principle in as much as ñoom they came together waaye leen divide on benn tey mu ngi fa woon UDP's rationale was always ne the only fair coalition mooy parti led because ñun ñoo gën a bari so leen ñu jiitalee ngeen support ñu ñun we will win the rest
at that time soo ko xoolee ñoom bari woon nañ tamit wax dëgg lañ wax tam amul bari nañ
li ñu wax moom dëgg gu wér kenn la kenn nobody would deny moo tax ma ne la ku
ci ñoom
ku ci nekk am nga sa explanation or your rationale the way it's supposed to be done yaa ngi am ñoom Halifa Sallah ñoom Omar Amadou Jallow ñu wane you know what wait a minute li gën a am important mooy let's come together and remove this guy if that happens ñoom they believe in a program led
waaw kon xaaral foofu danga ne UDP ñoo nañ ak seen wax ne ñoom ñoo ëppoon ni ak nañ leen daal ñu lii waaw foofu suñ ko dégloo loolu mun na moo yàq affaire si parce que ñeneen ñi duñ ko nangu nga ñëw ne waaw parce que danga ne ñii ñëpp wax nga ci ñoom lan moo tax yëf si fiir waaye léegi da nga ñëw baala ma de contradiction yaa ngi contradict sa foofu parce que yaa ngi ñëw fii léegi nga ne ñoom Halifa dafa ne déedéet nañ nekk benn ndax mu mun a dem waaye loolu su ko waxee kon moom bokku ci lu ko yaaxa bon xanaa
non xam nga Sumanela, ñom contribute nañ ci dara. The degree of it daf they how different a little bit. Degree bi xam nga daf they how remember in as much as amoon nañ disagreement ñi ne parti led
sorry Musa xale distraction as usual okay jekkal
xam nga like I said I'm trying to do two things. I'm trying to make sure I don't jeopardize any future possibility of bringing about change. Mota revisit li passé légui. It's important. But lima la bëgg wax moy né it's no different from what we are dealing with right now. UDP ñom dañ né party led coalition. Let's all come together and support ñu génné fi Jammeh. Wait a minute. The most important thing was génné fi Jammeh and bring a new system in place. Now there was a process. Understand li ma mean? Ku ci nekk obviously you want to lead. But all the same, in as much as there were disagreements, sign on a memorandum of understanding, and people should follow the letter of what was signed. Understand? The process binila. There was an understanding because ñun leen doon pressure fii. Remember, ñun ñoo leen doon pressure, ñun ñoo leen dugal ci coalition bi. So we did not leave them. Do you know how many meetings we have with Alhaji Ousainou Darboe 3 a.m. in the morning, or Halifa Sallah 2 a.m. in the morning, or Wajwara? We were calling them every day. Ñom ci beginning bi biñ signé memorandum of understanding bi ñom dañ né choosing a leader was not important at that time. Ñun dañ waxone look, this thing is only going to work so len amé a leader.
A leader. But why did they say ne why lutax ñu ñom ñu waxone ne choosing leader important at that time?
Because xam nañ ne lolu suñ fa éggé dafa yaxu.
Oh, parce que ku nekk dafa bëgg ne ñom ñoy lead.
Yes.
Yeah,
the moment they deal with the leadership.
I
mean, you see UDP right now, they're dealing with it within their own party. And I hate to say that. They were dealing with it. There is a reason why Alhaji Ousainou wane no. Ñun dañoo bàyyi bañ egga, then there would be a process to elect a flag bearer. It's the same thinking. At that time, ñooñu tamit dañ ne no. Li gën a important mooy we're going to come together, we're going to run the election together. There's going to be a process how a leader is going to be chosen. Naka la ñoo tànnee leader bi. It was stipulated in a memorandum of understanding. But see, they use a vague language. You know, to select the leader it has to be done through consensus. Consensus la xamone ngay waxe ci olof. Moy unanimity, ñun ñëm ñu d'accord.
Wow, okay.
Ñun ñëm ñu d'accord né ki la. Xam nga, waye su fekkee né ñom ñëpp ñu ngi bëgg nekk leader, nga né it has to be a process. So ñu door di smell né, you know what? Li so moytu dina yaxu. Ba paré ñun tamit even though we were here, ku ci nekk yaa ngi am sa mbor.
Yaa ngi am salan?
Sa mbor. Sa mbor support.
Aha kay.
Even though ñun ñoo leen doon, we were supposed to be independent, waaye ku ci nekk yaa ngi farfarle.
Kon affaire bi na jaxasoo. Waaw, foofu jaxasoo na.
Why not? Is it different from li xew right now? You guys think it's different? History repeats itself.
Itself, yeah.
It does. So ñun tamit we did not help because ñu ngi farfarle ñun tamit. Ñu ngi ruube ñun tamit.
Read a question boobu. Am na ku la send question. Am na ku send question léegi nii.
Mu ne
Ahmad Ba later said that there was that there no xam naa ko nga Ahmad Ba there was no signed MOU or something.
Kii xalel la. Ki lee ngi wax 2016.
Yo yaa nga wax naat fele moom waaw ñun eggaatuñ 2016 ah kay
li xew mooy in a way he's right. Am nga naat mooy 2016 rek ba tey moom la rek. Gis nga the very things MOU bi nekk ci naat that's the same MOU bu nekk ci 2016 bi.
Waaye naat tas na so si ñeneen ñi naat tasoon na balaa 2016.
Oh yeah.
Waaw tas na.
Tasoon na waaye di free xam nga spirit bi. 2016 tasut.
Okay.
Exactly. But why is that?
Why lan moo ko tas? Is it because ne yéen seen boppa ku nekk am nga sa mbor boo ngemboon la lan moo ko tas?
Moom la it's a combination of things. Xam nga ñoom ci seen boppa like I said, they did not want to deal with the leadership issue because xamoon nañ ne suñu demee dina yaaxu. Xam nga ñun tamit we did not help because ku ci nekk yaa ngi am koy farleel. Xam nga suñ amee suñ meeting yow su fekkee ne waajuwaara nga bugg mu nekk leader bi nga kool waajuwaara ci pet. Su fekkee ne Omar Amadou Jallow nga guy UDP tamit they were doing the same thing. Guy Doyi they were doing the same thing.
Yow ko farleeloon.
See, there was one thing. Any person that knows me, they will tell you ne Musa Jeng PPP la. Ëllëg ñu ne no, he's sympathetic to Doyi. Gannaaw ëllëg ñu ne what happened to me and Banka Mane mooy woon ne we want a complete coalition. They will come together to remove Jammeh. Nu mun a demee. When I was chairperson of Save the Gambia Democracy Project, at some point before 2006, I was the chair. Keba Fun mo njëkka nekk chairperson bi, then Keba Fun step aside. I became the chair before the election. I wrote a proposal. Pastor Bajau is my witness. Pastor Bajau was very angry. I wrote a proposal. I think we should select the UDP to lead the coalition.
Why?
Because I believe at that time, if UDP does not lead it, affaire bi du dem. I was absolutely convinced.
Luta nga feel on lolu, luta.
You see, because UDP, they were not completely committed to the coalition. They were dragging their feet. They came to it at the last minute. What I mean by that, mooy ñoom their position mooy woon ne yéen ñëpp ñëw leen ñun ñoo we are the biggest party buñ leen sonal mbayam noor ñun ñoo fi gën a mag. For us, for any coalition to take place, the smaller parties will come and support the big party. Te ñoom tamit doo leen mën a bañal loolu. ñoom loolu lañ wax. Ona sanga bi ñu leen bañee they went along eventually. They came around. We were able to convince them, let's just go through the process. Maybe dafa just make a process. Then out of that process, you guys will lead it. Just like it happened in 2016. History repeats itself.
Itself, yeah.
So we were saying, just go through the process. Let's have a process in place. Most likely, you guys will come out of it and lead it. So, man, because I was so... I wanted to see a coalition so badly. I really did not mind. Kan moko did.
Okay.
Be besti yalla tay. I sweat my mother's grave. I would go along with any coalition to be led by anyone if that formula is winnable. It doesn't matter to me who that leader is or who that person is. Seriously.
Waaye xam nga comme wax nga ko earlier they always dañuy wax ne sympathiser nga fii wala ñi nga support wala ñeneen nga support.
Yes. Xam nga soo nekkee yow yaa ngi wax man maa ngi wax fii every dimanche. When most UDP will tell you I hate the UDP. It's not true. Like I said, when I was chairperson, I draft a proposal saying ñoom they should lead NAT. That was my position, not because I like them. Because I knew that's the only way that we will have a coalition that will defeat this person. Understand what I mean? But it so Malaje, your fanga won. I like Omar Amadou Jallow. OJ, when he died, I cried. I really liked him. I liked him because he's a straight shooter. I like him because of Ndongola. I like him. Yunsa, we don't do that. OJ was our go-to guy.
Yes, sir.
More accessible. OJ was committed for the coalition. There's a part of me that like Halifa Sallah because of what he represents. I like people who are honest. I like people with integrity. I like people that will never compromise their values. I like him. I really do. I respect Alaji Usainu Dabo because of his sacrifice. When they came to Atlanta, they had a meeting. People were asking me, meeting. I was at the meeting. They held it at my place.
Yes, sir.
They gave me parole, and I tell the man his sacrifice, what he has done over the years, because I was there in the Gambia, growing up, knowing what the man has done since 1996. I cannot disrespect him. I cannot do that. But you see, in this day and age, if UDP does something, I'm going to call them out. 2016, I think they contributed immensely the betrayal of the Memorandum of Understanding. If you say that, there he goes again. Because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. There was a memorandum of understanding. There was a memorandum of understanding that was signed, and everything was stipulated. Jarang, and everybody knew it. Barrow was supposed to stay for 3 years.
Yeah.
The only reason why they went along with the memorandum of understanding, the only reason why Barrow was elected, because Nikon Gembala. Barrow alone, Muntakari Jimara or Kiram Sadun Gomuta.
So ñoom si sa gis-gis ñoom dañ ko fa tegoon nangu ànd ak ñoom parce que xamoon nañ ne later on ñoom dañoo jël ci loxoom wala ñoom ñoo ñëw rule dëkk bi ndax naka
it would be very simplistic. Li xew mooy 2016 bi moo ñëw xam nga léegi yoon bi daf dee gudda ba nga xam ne lot of things do happen in the way. Everybody knew ne 2016 dañ ñu doon pour amee coalition. The same role that the diaspora play. Remember, there is what we call the Raleigh Conference, being organized in 2013. 2013 in Raleigh, North Carolina, before 2016. Okay? The Alkali contest, Bankamane, Pasamba Jau. Alkali contest, Monyo called Beno Subatel, a conference with Banka and Pasamba. And you know what? 2016 is coming. We need to do something. Something similar to what we did during the time of Nat. We need to prop these people so that they can come together. The way to do it more, then you debate, then you find out, because we have an experience during that. So, okay, you guys come. They had an organization called GDAC in North Carolina. So we came together. Then we invited politicians in, just like 2006. Alaji Hussein was there. Bakari Bunjataba was there. Omar Amadou Diallo was there. Ahmad Ba was there. So they were represented in 2013. Out of that meeting in 2013, there is what we call the Raleigh Accord. Basically, everything pointing fingers, then come together to defeat Jammeh. And then you have another funding arm called GDF. Nyom Tukulor Si, Nyom Juka. Very resourceful lady.
Yeah.
We came, and then, of course, you have the Fatou Kamaras. There are a lot of people. So, we galvanized.
The GDF now.
GDF. They were the ones, a funding arm. Putting together resources so that we can help a potential coalition. Nyom Kurbali in Patapije. A lot of people. I hate throwing names, but people that just come on my mind. So, out of that rally conference, out of GDF, we came together, we signed a coalition. We have a signature. We have a meeting that was held at Kairaba.
Bala ñoo fofu xala ñu jël tuuti break rek suñ del ci waté ñu dugga fofu non waxtaan ci li xewon tay
dama wara xam nga man businessman la.
Wow.
And I have an event at the hall.
Oh, well, legi tay last half an hour bi moy ñew ci rek. Mais ñu lifin ko fi tuuti rek jël short break rek tuuti ñu ñëwaat. Okay. Thank you so much, Buhari, for that. Appreciate nañ ko torop ni ma ko waxee rek duñ fàtte Néné Jallow Tanjil moom tamit dafa jàpp ci diaspora profile bu baax a baax moom tam lu tuddee Musa comme que time bi xoj nañu ñu bàyyi la rek nga jekkali parce que ñu ngi woon ci 2016 waaye balañ cee dugga bu baax sax bëggoon naa rek nga wax ñu struggle bi naka ngeen ko dundee woon ak seen mbokk yi because time boobu noonu struggle bi rek lañ doon dégga media houses yi bari woon nañ waxkat yi bari nañ bindakat yi bari nañ naka ngeen ko doon di dundee because yéen i neen you were divided at some point so su ko mënee tënk rek foofu
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just like every Gambian, sa parents yangi fofu. Like I said, my mom was getting older, and I was always getting calls. Even my wife, papa, like nobody's business. Even so Umi Bugadem Gambia, he used to be very concerned, you know. So daf koy call legi.
Okay, that's a question.
Suma mbokki faana la so daf ko daa wax ne ko Umi yow sa jëkkër ji kii fa dëgër bopp de doo ko wax mu bàyyi yëfi Yaaya Jammeh waaye na ko bàyyi nga mën a ñëw moom bu ko ñëw sax ma moo yow nga mën a ñëw mu ne ko feeg mu ngi wax óoluma pour nga ñëw so all of us were getting pressures, you know. I mean, no, but like I said, xam nga di nga dugg ci dara bi nga xam ne there is no turning back, not because of ne yow da nga am gom-gom or whatever comme li ma la wax rek ci beginning bi ku ci nekk da nga dee am nattu so nattu boobu moo la dee yóbbuwaale so I was knee deep into it, xam nga so dellu gannaaw mënatut a am. I mean, and I was really committed to I am one of the people that really believe ne suñ munee am coalition Jammeh will be history. Every platform I will go there and make the argument. Among us, am na ñoo xam ne they did not believe ne election is the route to remove Jammeh. Am na ñoo xam ne they believe like Bankamane, for instance. I mean, the way he looked at it, talking about Bankamane, I get very angry.
Am nañ call ñu jël call bi hello Juksin Juka waaw dafa leen olof faana bi ñu dégga
kii moo mën a yem faana bu yàgg bitim réew la
mu ne faana bu yàgg bitim réew la
moom fa Banjul fa yàgg Banjul moom
fa demoon Banjul yàgg fa
fa yàgg de waaye naa yow mbaa yow di ngay lekk xam nga li ñuy woowee ñett ak luka xamuloo loolu de
ñett ak luka mu ne xam nga loolu la dañ koy lekk
luka
waxo mu may ma call coach bañu waat waaye good interview, good conversation. ñu koy wax jërëjëf si dama ko dee tooñ nag waaye jàmbaar la ñu koy wax jërëjëf si taxawaayam si Gambia parce que comme ni nga ko waxee rek ñoom ñoo taxawoon team for a long time moo tax ñu mën a egsi fii tey ba ñeneen ak ñeneen di si bokk so thank you for your service Musa ak yéen ñëpp ñu xaali woon yoon bi waaye dama ko bëgg a laaj quickly ndax foogul ne tamit ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekkoon si coalition table bi dañ feel Gambian si biñ xamee ne 5 years moo nekk si constitution bi pour président ñu dem def 3 years pour MOU bi loolu naka la ko gisee ak tam su fekkee coalition dafa war a amaat ndax loolu ñoom dañ ko war a fix ndax dañuy delluwaat defaat the same issue boobu mooy suma first question mais last question boobu ruube la ndax dafa am any political ambition pour nekk président wasalaam bye
xam nga ne ruube rek ngay def tëdd waaye fii nga fekk Musa dina la ansa thank you Juka thank you for calling it thank you so much appreciate nañ ko kay moom tamit duñ ko bàyyi gannaaw even though mu yow gërëm nga ko Aliya sax ne ñoom dañ ci jàpp bu baax boom ak ay moromam so ñu ngi koy gërëm moom dégg nga li mu wax tëdd Musa
dégg naa li mu wax bu baax sax xam nga 2020 hindsight su dara xewee ba pare it's always easy pour nga dem ne lii waruñ ko woon a defee nii da nga am pour understand ne ñun even forming a coalition was extremely difficult kenn foogu doon ne mun naa am sometimes nit ñi dañ dee fàtte ne it took like few months from bi ñoo formé coalition bi ak fi election si di happené.
Okay.
So people can tell you, maybe if there was no Solo Sendeng and Usenu going to prison, then there won't be no coalition. Sometimes you see people talk about that. So the luxury of these people coming together, just come together, sir, contest elections, was a hell of an achievement. Whether 3 years, whether 4 years, whether 5 years, to most of us, that was not the issue. Maybe she's right. Maybe they could have said, you know what, let's just go by the constitution. But these were not normal times. They are rational moy wonne. Parti bokun jubluwaay. Ñun nañ create a level playing field. Ku nekk dem sa yoon. Halifa Sallah was saying 2 years. Ñi ne 5 years. Ñi ne nii. Okay. The compromise, let's do it 3 years. During these 3 years, then fix the constitution. Okay. The constitution will be fixed. Clause in the constitution be. Any person will be able to resign, step aside, call for within 90 days. We'll call for new elections. Gologu nek dem bote domam. So nek UDP nga dem sa yon nga form sa party. So wherever the party is, then they can create a level playing field during these 3 years. They can change constitution and fix it. And then you give it to the Gambian people to choose. Choose. That's a reasonable way of looking at things.
But looking back, but looking back
now, then you get into the constitutional issue. People are saying, well, I mean, because the reason why people are saying that is because after being winning, and this is where I have a problem with the United Democratic Party and the stand that they took. Because they were a major player. The candidate was their candidate, Adama Barrow. Adama Barrow won that contest at the convention because of Party Bim Jugela. When Adama Barrow alone, we were in the struggle for almost 15 years. Man, I knew Adama Barrow on a different way because he was managing some of the properties I have in the Gambia. So man, I knew him. I knew him to be an honest man. He collected my rent and he did what he had to do at that time.
But how did it come to that conclusion? Pungen Nigel from a member of the UDP party. You guys have taken someone who is completely independent.
There was a memorandum of understanding. Party Buneka danga in the 70 delegates.
Okay.
70 delegates. UDP in the 70. DOI in the 70. PPP in the 70. NRP in the 70. Ahmed Fati in the 70. So delegates yoyu ñom ñoo dem ci convention bi ñu ne ku bëgg ñëw nekk candidate da nga ñëw. Then UDP presented Adama Barrow as their candidate. DOI presented Halifa Sallah as their candidate. PPP presented, I don't think that they presented, or did they present AOJ? I can't even remember. Understand me? But now, so delegates yoyu ñom ñoo vote. Being voted, Adama Barrow got the majority of the votes. Process, it was transparent. It was fair.
Okay.
It was in accordance to what was stipulated in the memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
They all played by the rules. Be Adama Barrow winning, ñepp d'accord ne momo win. So we can stand a process that there was a stipulation in that memorandum of understanding. And ñepp d'accord ne 3 years la. Why? Gorcha Batam? Stick with it. Change the constitution. Make amendments at the National Assembly. After the 3 years, Barrow step aside. Let's call for new elections. Go win-win. But when they won under Barrow was still UDP. Guy UDP door the change affaire, the change narrative.
Yeah, but what did you people expect? How many the end result?
No, I mean, fair is fair. they signed the dotted line. We went through a process. So people thought, at the end of the day, they'll do what needed to be done. And so when it became clear, there was a lot of talk about, well, I'm going to constitution be 5 years. Okay, they all knew that. There was not a single soul that did not know that the constitution is for 5 year term. When Gambians lined up to vote for him, they knew that they were voting for a 5 year term. Yes. But my friend, there was an agreement. And it was because of that agreement that Adama Barrow was able to win. Without that agreement, Adama Barrow wouldn't win. So that agreement, they needed to respect it and stick with it. But they did not. Now, Munga second guess. But xam nga lan moo xew biñ winee ku ci nekk was trying to protect your party loolu mooy dëgg
sa party wow
ku ci nekk yaa nga jéem a ut because you see in Gambian elections the moment you become incumbent it will be difficult to be defeated. During time of PPP, that's why for 5 election cycles kenn mënut a defeat Jawara. Adama Barrow di Guinea made the same thing. Call it Sacha, call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's the truth. When they won,
they am called. When they won,
the politics start. Said, how is this going to help my party? Lolu moy dega. That is why we are in this situation.
Today. Okay. You am been a call. I'm not a call bi la ko Emma do mëna jël 5 because mayon na len chance nga dafa am fu ñu ko défé té time bi xoj nañu time bi ñu Musa mayon sax jeexna so ñu jël call bi okay hello
assalamu alaykum
alaykum salam
man la Musa Jeng
Mustafa nuyu nañ la
la nuyu ak sété bi kat yépp nuyu Musa Jeng
kay fay nañ la
opportunité bi tamit pour wax ko jërëjëf ci ñu taxawalé Gambia
ndeysaan
then bi guddoon na yàgg na foogoon na dina du Musa Jeng waaye tey ñu ne alhamdulillah so force bu ma ko bëgg a jàppale rek mooy si yëfi coalition bi wéew lu tax PPP taxawaluñu woon si convention
yes
because PPP day xam ne su parti bu nekk indi 17 nit 17 nit yooyu noonu yëpp saaneel seen parti then kenn du bi convention boobu noonu di ko ba tey ñu dee convention jàmmeen ko ba tey du Musa Jeng so PPP use stratégie boo xam ne ñun suñ taxawalu ten dinañ mun a baat ñu baat nag ñu yaakaar ne dina mun a win and boobu noonu nag la paroda sol xaftaanam bi di jaabante te 17 times ñu ko compté di dugal biir kër projet pipeline on a boobu di jàll
dem si yàlla yàlla ko yàlla xaar àjjana
ñun la ko yàlla yërëm xale ko àjjana pour PPP baax so boobu noonu la ko demee pour struggle bi tamit ma jàppale ko noonu tamit tuuti struggle bi suñu ne head office bi man Angleterre laa ko jox parce que la saadaw da kere ba jawara te koon ay na ku nekk ak nu moo tojee bopp yi xam naka boppi jënam waaw dina am ñoo xam ne ku ñoo struggle dinañ dem taxaw si mbedda bi yi sëñ ay banaana si kanami embassy yi di def lu ñoo def mu am ñoo xam ne tamit ñoom dañ am access so ñooñu mun nañoo bind straight mu dem si Commonwealth bi parce que xam nañ si kuñ ko adresse straight mu dem si UN xam nañ si kuñ ko mun a adresse AU African Living bi so yooyu yëpp Angleterre bi la doon xapp ni boo xam ne Saada da cere ba jawara moo ko lidoon nga am people like ñoom Fodé Jaaju si oncle Fodé nga am people like ñoom Sara Jangha nga am people like suñ former high commissioner bi Mr Bob man suma boppa dama fa daan nekka di jàppale di dem ak ñoom ba House of Parliament ñoom Cheikh Oustabali suñu nekkoon Angleterre fii ñu ñëpp dañ daan def yooyu noonu amoon nañ ay meeting fii ak ñoom Claire Shot ak ñu bari si House of Parliament so suñu ne head office bi fii la
yow daal fii nga ko def Angleterre la head office bi
Angleterre the first coalition UDP léegi lañ ko xoolee as a political party waaye UDP si boppam coalition te PPP jiite ko woon da ngeen toog jox UDP foofu laa ko bàyyi Musa jërëjëf.
jërëjëf yow
ne dëgg
yaa ngi si suñu liste bi yaa ngi si suñu liste bi Moustique dinañ la oo because diaspora profile foog ñu indi la jërëjëf thank you so much Musa dégg nga foofu Moustapha Jaba nga suma broda bu baax
dégg nga ko bu baax xam nga man wax naa la ma ne la when you tell a story
you
only tell it from your own vantage point.
Yeah.
You know, now in terms of whether it was in England or whether it was in the US, I mean, he's right. There were people called the Movement for the Restoration of Democracy. What's his name again? Based on in Angleterre. Actually, when we brought the politicians here, he's in the Gambia now. He was with SFR. So yeah.
Mam Lai. Is it Mam Lai, Jassy?
No. It was with SFR. I mean, the lawyer, whatever his name is, I forgot. But anyway, Mom said
James Bahum.
James Bahum, exactly. Mom said he came. James Bahum did a lot. To be very candid, and you know, I'm gonna I mean, there are a lot of people. They did their little thing. Why? Prior to 2016, whether you call them latecomers, whatever you want to call them, when you're doing something, you open it up. 2016, the reason why I'm successful, because they were not even political. They have what you call a buy-in to it.
So at that stage, everybody was politically aware.
Everybody was politically aware. Remember, I'm going to use my own example, my own wife. She hated me getting involved in politics. She's not political. So when 2016 came, GDF, dama tok suma liggéeyu kaay sa dégg ñu ne umi faane de jox na $200 ma ne ko déet li ngay joxe ngi bëgg a bëri laaja juka nga ñi seetaan ak people that were very non-political, they were putting their resources into it. So we were successful because we had a buy-in from people. Everybody. I remember this sister of mine in Rhode Island, Kicham. Maricham. Oh my God. Maricham was giving her money like nobody's business. So a lot of people made it successful because we all came together. Together and supported a process. My friend, let's respect the process to the T. But that did not happen. That is why I always say, there was a betrayal. There was a betrayal for everything that we stood for. And it didn't take long that we are still, Bentay, we are haunted by that betrayal.
That betrayal.
Lolumo Mohel. The agreement was not respected. And you can throw blame around all over the place. You can finger point at different people. Not only UDP. I mean, you can blame, but Adama Barrow is the single individual that I believe is responsible. Because at the end of the day, he was the one that resigned from the United Democratic Party because of stipulations in the MOUB. Now you have to run under an independent ticket. Momu nangu, UDP nangu, doy nangu, NRP nangu. You know ko yow legi bokatulo fen, yow yaay suñ candidate. Ñun ñepp dinañ jappalé dinañ la ngemba. Diaspora bi senti sen xaliss ñu ngemba ko. And that is why he won. So he was one person. Lu ko nit ñu ko wax. Honest is honest. I'm going to stick to the agreement. Gotcha
batam. Am nañ benn last call Buhari dafa bëgg a laajte question waaye man Musa lu ma gëm mooy yow da nga war a ñëwaat parti parce que ñu dugaaguñ sax si government Barrow loolu daf ma jaaxal dugaaguñ fu bare waa acca Buhari su ko defee ñu daal di yokk waxtaan Buhari ñëwal
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Definitely maa ngi enjoy programme bi bu baax a baax.
Ndeysaan.
Definitely appreciate nañ trop biñ la waxee rek nga ñëw kontaan nañ si trop. Waaw ba pare am na la faat mata laajoon noonu nag wax ala nga fàtte waaye bu ma waxee struggle bi ma ne comme système day jobaate.
Yes.
Comme ñu naan struggle. Because moom so bàyyee xel Gambia moom moo daan struggle continuous.
Yes.
Waaw so ñu naan struggle ba aduna bi yëpp naan struggle. waaye xam nga tamit dafa important trop. comme nit ñu ko jox ci ram.
ndeysaan
comme ndey jobaate Norway so de ñu naan struggle. ndey jobaate ñu naan sayne noonu.
ndey jobaate.
Struggle, yes. The struggle continues.
Struggle.
Wax na dëgg.
ndeysaan.
waaw.
dëgg bu wér.
oh. ñu ngeen nuyu ndey bu baax a baax moom it mu nekk ku baax.
Wax na dëgg.
comme soo xam comme démba su nekkoon tey nii. sooy learn from démba. comme naka nga foog ne comme like noonu la Gambia war a def léegi nii pour mun a su nekku dara tamit sax xam nga bring about comme situation boo xam ne daal dina benefit Gambia daal because xam nga am na so many things yoo xam ne comme nekku di work because of various reasons waaye yow su fekkoon ne xam nga with all the experience bi nga am si struggle bi lan nga foog ne comme loolu la Gambia war a def loolu la Gambien si war a def xam nga pour bala ma rek xale nga diga si ñu ngi am maa ngi xaw a concentré lan nga foog ne loolu la nit ñi war a def daal pour at least Gambia mën a dem kanam daal with all your experience jërëjëf and thank you once again pour li nga ñëw ci programme bi appreciate ko bu baax a baax.
I'm gonna answer.
Thank you. That was my boss. My boss called in. Suma boss la. Jërëjëf. Wow.
Somebody asked a similar question, like the comments. Is there any chance of a possible coalition come 2026?
Coalition, yeah.
Because we can't afford another 5 years. And then, I mean, a key question on me has something to do with it. But I want to go back to Juka's question: whether do I have any ambition to run for president?
Political ambition, yeah.
Small workers are doing no voter. There are certain realities.
Why Mandela votal?
No matter how ambitious, boy, do I really want to run for president? I do. Do I think I'll be a hell of a president? Akamakogom. I really do. But I also understand that to win an election in the Gambia, it takes a whole lot. Yeah. I don't have what it takes. They don't know me. Even from a fakeko. But
we didn't know Barrow. But we didn't know President Barrow. And
Kongemba. Sunmangembe. Mowin. Then Kongemba. But anyway, coming back to the most important question. What now? You see, we came together 2016, even though there was a betrayal. Why Finneka? Morgan from Neko. You see, I get offended and disgusted when people say ne Taimi Jame sax mo gën lini is the biggest nonsense. Wanal na nit ñi dañ dé faté. Human beings ñun dañ dé faté. Fiñ nekka mo gën fañ nekkoon. Even though things did not go according to plan. Now, to answer the question, I want to say this. Since the removal of Jammeh, am I going to sit here to tell you, ne, keneka sutu konding o keneka kudang, their living standard has improved since Barrow came into power? I don't believe that. Do I believe ne, my sister in Kaur, she is now better off under Barrow than she was under Jammeh? I don't believe that. But sometimes when people make those comments, you got to put it in context of what they are saying. It's about the way things are, the economic survival. But in other areas, we are definitely better off. Gambia, there was a police state, there was fear, people were being slaughtered. Our democracy has evolved. We are at a better place. There is democracy. We have opportunities. We are at a better place. So, everything aside, the betrayal, they did not stick, the joking. I'm glad even if we were to do it, we'll do it the same way. So you want to get where we are today. Now the question is, how can we bring about change in 2026? Bobu moy wax ji, based on the experiences that we have. 3 months ago, there were people, people that were talking about, let's form a coalition and to repeat what happened in 2016.
But do you think you guys can do it again? Do you have the energy to do it again?
When I told them, when this was my position, you see, the playbook in 2016, Dumuna work this time. Fojar have to make some adjustments to it. Now the spirit, a jublu. If you ask me today, everything remains the same. By 2026, I can tell you Nebaro will be re-elected. Hands down. People can talk about, oh, Gambians are suffering, price in Marsebi. I get it. I do. Everything's remained the same. We contest the election like we did in 2021. We will not bring about change. I want change. I want Fabakary Tombong Jatta and the Sidinjais of this world and Barrow to be put aside. No, Barrow definitely more on a def up to this point. Whether I'm the grade A, B, or C, we were able to post dictatorship. He needs to step aside, give another chance to a new system to take the country to a different level. We need that. I will vote for that. How will that happen? For me, is this. And I share this with Pasamba. Maneko, the only way Barrow can be defeated, we need a government of national unity. All the parties come together, all hands on deck. We are going to create a government of national unity come 2027 January. They will put together a manifesto. Forget about who is going to lead one party. Forget about that. Focus on a program, a manifesto that will stipulate, come 2026, when Barrow is removed, this is what we intend to do. In terms of corruption, because we believe that corruption is a drag to the economy, we will create a new agency at the Ministry of Justice. We will have a corruption czar. We will have lawyers and investigators. This is our program come 2026 when Barrow is removed. The economy, forget about the way Ninjan plan a budget. Every year we go through the same thing. Allocate office of the president, allocate agriculture, allocate nonsense. We are going to make sure the average Gambian will be able to have access to water. Monies we have, we're going to invest it in it. We will make sure whether Kudanganeka or whether Kayafanganeka, Dinga am access to water. We will make sure we will take our resources to create an economy. At least people will be afford. A salary, you will have access to fair housing. If you create a manifesto, then you really intend to do as Gambians, agent of change. You sell it to the Gambian people. They have a buy-in into the program. Don't get into can Moy lead or cannot do lead. The first phase should be sell them the program. It's a national of government unity. We want to rescue our country. If you do that and you are honest and you are clear of what you intend to do, learning from what happened in 2016, they build trust because trust nekatufa.
Need it.
Halifa Sallah would not trust them. Hussein Dabo will not trust them. The PPP people will not trust them. There are people that mistrust Mofaneka, Oluanteun. Why soon toge, all hands on deck. They look each other in the eye, nit at nitam. Nganeko, look, let's come together to do this, and we create this new Gambia. If you convince them, so munta convince Benanit. How in the hell are you going to convince 2 million people?
Do you think that is possible? But do you think that is possible?
Of course it is possible. The question is, do they have the honesty to do it? It is possible. Now, the motivation, are they interested in change? Or are they interested in replacing Jammeh, a Barrow?
Barrow, okay. It's two different things, yeah.
There is a difference. Are they interested in change or are they interested in replacing Jammeh, Barrow? Because if I can replacing Barrow Rekla, it's not worth it for me. And it's not worth it for a whole lot of Gambians. Because all we are going to be dealing with, moi, come campaign, ñom Mamadou Sabali, ñom Dr. Cisse, the Barrow gang ñom Dusano, counter-attack, accusation of tribalism upon tribalism, chemo satta, chemo reiki, chemo defni, chemo defnale. At the end of the day, Gambians are going to be confused. Some Mboki Fana people in the provinces, low-informed voters, they will vote massively for Barrow. And we will lose.
The way things are going, so the way things are going, Nimelni right now, it's like linga baj mo am moy am. People are just gonna go pull ne dañoo bëgg replace Barrow.
Lolu nak. Lolu moy problème bi.
Parce que lolu dafa melni non la things di démé. Let's just replace him. Lañu dalon mo ñoo dalat parce que nit ñe ko fa bëgga tut rek. Xalaatu
su dé replace Barrow rek la. How does that help the market woman from Brufut? Should they replace Barrow Rekla? My friend, we still have a problem in Nawek. I'm old enough to remember on the GUC, on the Jawara, we had Nawek problems. Jammeh, 22 years, we had Nawek problems. We still have Nawek problems. But if you put in on paper how you are going to solve this Nawek problem, my friend, and you have a buy-in from the Gambian people, it's a government of national unity. It's rescuing our country. It's salvaging our country. Suboba.
But do you see that, Lolo, not possible? Do you see that happening? Do you think that can happen? You keep saying honesty, honest. Well, you be honest with each other.
I am just telling you what I think can bring about the change. I wasn't born yesterday, neither am I naive. I know it is going to be very difficult.
Very, very difficult.
But I am also old enough to understand 2006 was equally very difficult. But we were able to do it. 2016, Kula Fogne, it was easy. Come on, Limiwa. It was equally difficult. The question is not whether it's difficult or not. Do you know how many debates I have with the Pasamba and Bankaman?
But how do we change the mindset of people? Because it takes to change our mindset. Because Lolo, without Lolo, man gisuma dara muna happen. It's like munne nahari another replacement. Then buga Barrow gena fa Lolo.
Changing the mindset of the people is not the problem.
Somehow it's a problem because you create more awareness. People don't even know their voting rights. How many new votes are?
No. This is the same population, Gambians, that were able to line up and vote against a dictator for 22 years.
But that started from the diaspora. Diaspora be no initiate lolo, no indi lolo mo happen.
Why then the people lined up? This, I know there are low-informed voters, but it's overrated.
Yeah.
Gambians dofun jine japulen pan la xawlulen xawma deg nga fana
They did.
Dofun jine japulen pan la xawlulen ñom xam nañ li ñoo dunda. What they need is a viable alternative that they believe can bring an end to that. Why su fekkee ne if the election comes down to this, come li xew right now, Barrow attack Ousainou Darboe counter attack, UDP attack, NPP counter attack. If that is the way that we're going to approach 2026, I can guarantee you change will not happen.
No.
The messaging has to change. Xam nga nga win an election. You have to have a message, you have to have a messenger, and then you have to have a policy. We have a policy, government of national unity, dinañ def lii, dinañ def lii, dinañ def lii, dinañ def lii. Then you have a messenger. Messenger bisa is less important. If you put Alhaji Ousainou Darboe there with the message, a government of national unity, and this is what we intend to do, and we change the messaging. None of this nonsense. We tell the Gambian people in Jimara how their life will change. We talk about corruption and how we intend to replace it. Creating a corruption czar at the Ministry of Justice with lawyers armed to fight corruption. How are we going to change our
can that be done? But can that be done in this short time?
Why not? If UDP, there's a reason why leadership matters. So munta convince 6 people at a table. How in the hell are you going to convince 2 million people? If these people are able to do that, Suboba, whether they're in the Yankuba Dabo, remember, there are upcoming politicians. Talib Bensouda, whether it's Halifa Saleh. It doesn't matter. If Gambians believe they need a new together to rescue the country, half of your job is already done. You take your message to the Gambian people, Barrow will be history. If you don't do that,
Musa, foog ñu invite la foog ma invite la part 2 of 30 minutes rek parce que man doylooguma dafa am ma bëggoon a laajte laalaguma ko sax because bëggoon naa nga jëm analysis si politicians si political parties ak yeneen ak naka nga gisee Gambia bi léegi ak naka la xam nga am na yoo xam ne sax gars yi dugal nañ ko laajte nañ ko so ñun doyluwuñ ci yow dama bëgg nag askan bi déglu ma dégg ma ne ñaan naa la nga ñëwaat encore gars yi nag am nañu laa tooñ TikTok ñu ne doo ñëw parce que xam nañ ne soo ñëwee yow NPP nga da ngaa pretend rek NPP nga moo tax da ngaa daw doo ñëw bala ma laa laaj loolu.
dégg nga waaye nag xam nga every Sunday ñu ngi for the people by the people di toj kaasi. but waxtaan bi du jeex.
waaw xam nga for the people by the people boobu dañ dee ñëw rek wax li la neex boobu sa comfort zone la ñu waraat fii rek ñu laaj leen yëpp am yéen gis nga man dama fii la daal li ma war a laajte laajteegu ma ko ba tey.
in closing.
Wow.
But I'm just going to talk about the current Dr. Cissé with Alhaji Barrow and Madi Jobate and my take on it.
Moom laa la wax ma ne la yii dégg loolu li ma la wax politicians yi ñi si biir ak ñi si biti am na ñu ne laajagul waaye soo si waxee dama neex waaw because gis nañ du Alhaji Barrow rek sax ak Dr. Cissé laa gis I saw Suleiman Pensuare wrote something as well. So it's like everybody is having a go at Dr. Cissé right now. What's going on? But yeah, what's your take on it?
Look, man, I have a weakness for Dr. Cissé.
I was gonna say that Dr. Saboy like that, because Dr. Dalan ko buga sa
no, and this is the reason. Wow. And this is the reason. It's because man, I always like this young upcoming. Whether it's Dr. Cissé or Talib Bensouda, they also tell me Talib is my boy. I like people that have future in politics. I like young people with a totally new outlook because for me, they're the future and they can bring about change. When Dr. came, New Form Citizen Alliance, Dr. Kolos had a call with Banka, Pasamba, and myself, trying to talk us into joining CA. And we talk about it, we read their constitution and all of that. Among 3 of us, I was the one that was less skeptical because I was kind of, excited about something new. But anyway, it ended up us not joining them. But CA, over time, choosing program Bisa, I always used to say good things about them because it's a new party. They're young people. The CA with Nene, and with Dominic Mendy and Doctor and all the other people. I know forming a political party in the Gambia, it has to be a long-term thing. But Doctor, unfortunately, when I went to Banjul, I met Dr. Chibena lunch with them on. And I told him, bro, I think you have a future in politics. And you were a little bit too ambitious. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you will never be able to become president or win an election without being ambitious. So
yeah, you have to be a ruthless.
When he got accused of flipping and supporting NPP, joining NPP, you see, there's nothing new in politics. It happens. Do I believe that he did it for his own opportunistic reasons? Yeah, he did. The running mate of President-elect Trump, Vance, call him Hitler, call him not fit for purpose. It happens. People take positions and then switch over. That is the name of the game. Does that mean that the man is evil? No. Does that mean that, his honesty and integrity will be eroded? Absolutely. Because Nitki, you have to be consistent. Now, what happened was, there is this issue about the third term. Doctor had a position that was strong, even in their constitution. No one should be able to go for more than 2 terms. If I were a doctor and they asked me that question, even though I am now NPP and Barrow, I would be very strategic the way I answer that question. I think he mishandled it badly. What he should have said was, look, I am the Minister of Information. My job is to articulate and defend the programs of this government, to take information from you and take it to the government. As far as that question is concerned, man, I am from CA. Our constitution advocates for 2 terms. The government that I am defending right now, they are the ones that took the 2020 draft, where it says 2 terms, not more than 2 terms. And this government went ahead, accepted, and take it to the National Assembly. So the government position is 2 terms. It was killed by the National Assembly. Current 24 draft B, made by the cabinet, it stipulated 2 terms. So my government is committed to 2 terms.
But he said the constitution. Okay, I get it.
Now, whether Barrow is going to run for a 3rd term or not, that is his own personal decision. But I am speaking for the government and what we are committed policy-wise. But also, I remind you guys, we are living under the 1997 Constitution.
1997, yeah.
When there is no term limit.
Yeah.
So, man, I am not going to get into trying to explain whether he can run or he cannot run. Any Gambian can run if they want to run. But, man, as far as I'm concerned, as the information minister, based on the current draft, whether one likes it or not, our position is a 2-term limit.
It's a 2-term. Okay. I get it.
No one can accuse you of anything. Why should you be the spokesperson for Barrow or the NPP? Why? You are Minister of Information for the Gambian people, for the government that was elected by the Gambian people, to articulate the programs, policies of the government. If you do that, no one can accuse you of anything. People criticize you, Alaji Barrow and Madi Jobati. Call them whatever you want to call them. But in the eyes of Gambians, these are honest people. Very honest. And then you went personal. Why? Why do you have to go personal? It's a typical Gambian base. It's lack of experience.
But do you even think that as ministers, in Gambia, as ministers, do you think that they should have time in their hands to be tontuantein or, to involve themselves in some, some mediocre stuff?
It's lack of experience. But the typical Gambian attitude. You want to go personal. Understand? But as a minister, dafa am yoo xam ne danga ko war a jombale sa boppa suñ la criticiser ne doctor yow yaa fi flip flop de that's your opinion. What I believe Demba Bente, when I believe in that, I believe that joining this party is a way of making a difference for my country. You're not the first one who switched Even during the time of Jawara, ñoom MC Cham, ñoom Ebi Njai, ñi ñëpp den switch. Lolu du fi tey. Understand what I mean? What doctor needs to do is, again, don't take things personal and don't make up stuff. Alaji Baro, kawat. Alaji Baro, kawat. December 30th, we were desperate. This is a guy, this was the guy with banker money, buying guns, assault weapons. Diko def ci case. Yow def nga ko, man def naa ko. Ñaata Gambian at that time, during the time of Jammeh, ñoo ñemeña def loolu. Mono suma gisee ñuy yab banka maane sax diko tëddale fu mu dëkkut. It makes me angry because they don't know what this man has done and the price that he has paid. Alaji Baro nekk an advanced team dem di xaar fetel yooyu customs retrieve those assault weapons. Do you know the risk that is involved in that? Alaji Baro would have been slaughtered suñ ko gisee ak fetel yooyu. And you call that guy a coward? Are you kidding me? Just because you just want to get back at them. Yangi mer, so yang lena also buga tontu. And that's a typical Gambian reaction. So then
having time in our hands. And having time in our hands.
They come back at you. My advice to doctor is keep doing what you're doing. Represent the government, but be honest. Don't overspin. And respectfully, and I choose my words carefully. Bullfen. Call it for whatever it is. Explain the position. If he doesn't do that, he's going to erode his political career. NPP win, I'm good. No, you're young. You have
okay. Since you see doctor, come 2026 and NPP is no more. Langa gis pulmon.
Forget about NPP. If Barrow goes, NPP is gone. Oh, hell yeah. You think these people are there because they have the same beliefs? You think they're there? The only glue that keeps them is Barrow. If Barrow is gone, you think Ahmad Ba is going to allow Dr. Caesar to lead? Are you kidding me? Do you think Nyom Ibrahim Silla, they're going to allow Doctor to lead them? Look, they are in the same party. Mom's a CA, so he should always be reminding himself. I'm the doctor of a Union Minister. Because Union Minister, you're the a technocrat, you defla minister. Doctor was a leader of a political party. Doctor has taken positions before. So, Mom, he should always remind himself, man, I'm a little bit different. And I'm talking politically, I'm politically speaking. He should always remind himself, I am different. Even though I am going to defend, because man, so much def my information minister.
Information, yeah.
I am going to defend the government. Bula kenda. Kula waxul lolu waxul la diga. So ko bugu ta defend, buko jël.
But not this way. Not this way. I think
exactly.
Not this way. I'm not with them. Yeah.
How you defend them? Fala affaire bi nek. Because by defending the government policies, you are defending the Gambian people. Bul wax the Gambian people luñ buga diga, but also wax len articulate the government policies and programs. Ku wax ne ñom Baro defuñ lu ba, waxulo diga, politique rek mo la taxa jog. There are good things that they are doing. Amplify those good things. The things that they are not doing well. When he was asked whether corruption, doctor's reaction was very defensive. What my evidence be? You see, Hamane Koko is not thinking politically.
No, sir.
Because there is corruption. So my response would have been, oh, absolutely. There has been corruption since time Jawara. This government is committed to fight corruption. There are lapses. I absolutely agree. In the civil service, there's a lot of corruption that we need to fight. And this is what my government has done up to this point. That's all you need to say. Accept the reality. There is corruption. Evidence, man evidence. The moment you talk like that, you lose credibility. When you lose credibility, you undermine your political career. There are reasonable, fair-minded people ñoo xam ne now am na ñoo xam ne like ko just because of party affiliation bu leen naxante. am na ñoo xam ne Sabally was quarreling with Barrow. Bim gisee guy ñëw with the white paper, he went to UDP. The very party that couldn't stand Sabally. The people that were against Sabally, they were embracing Sabally, saying good things about Sabally. We brought Sabally on our program, and I had asked him a question. Nico, do you think Jammeh had blood on his hands? Some UDP supporters were telling me, I'm only against Sabally because Sabally is Mandinka. You see, people are not fair. I don't expect them to be fair. But for Dr. Cisse, I think Munge undermine his credibility. Going after Madi Jobate, call Madi Jobate Lula Neh. But the man is honest.
Yes, sir.
Do I think I always tell them, I tell them, you guys are activists on steroids. You know, there are things that they say that I disagree with. But they are honest people. Extremely honest. Pasamba, I've known him for political. He's honest.
Yes, sir.
His messaging is crazy sometimes. So, I mean, gata bidal.
ñëw nañ to an end waaye am na waaw end bi mënuñ koo def te indi wuñ si am na yu baax yi ngeen nekk di def Gambia because xam naa ne am na project yu fa am te sa loxo mu ngi ci ndax mun nga ñoo wax tuuti how it came about ba ngeen def yéen a project di dimbale Gambians yi.
But that was a while back. This was the Ajera. We've done some big things. I mean, and talk about because Ajera is still around, and we are going to continue to do big things. And we are kind of reorganizing the organization. You know, I mean, because at the end of the day, too, any association, if you cannot make a difference in the Gambia, then the association is not worth the salt is written on. So,
organize
absolutely. In fact, sir, 3 years ago we reorganized, and it was it was led by a young person because hanga a very immigrant community bi dafa change. ñun suñ time ñun ñëpp xamante ne ñun ñëpp a jógee Banjul ñëw fii nii now suñ doom yee fi nekk and younger people, so the demography dafa xaw a change a little bit. So reorganize, and if you want to do change, you have to be very receptive to the reality. Ni affaire yi mel léegi. So but Fadou Rahman,
am na ku la tooñ de am na ku ma seenoon message bi mu gisee flyer bi mu ne ma loo mun a wax Musa Jeng wax ko ne ko ñi mun a take over mbaa duñ fi def li mu fi defoon de parce que moom dafa nekkoon promoteur da nga nekkoon promoteur di indi sénégalais artistes yi rek bañ a indi Gambian artistes yi ñu ne nag léegi ndax loolu change
kayma laaj loolu tuuti kooku am na xam nga lan moo xew man during my tenure as chairman of Ajera, we wanted to take the organization to the next level. We wanted to make it big. To give you an example, when you inherit an organization, if you put out financial statements, you're looking at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. The question was, and you want to do big things, you need to increase the revenue. Tahawaii organization. And that's what we did. From that, I remember we had a town hall meeting. The total revenue was almost $100,000.
Wow.
That is why we were able to send oil and rice to Gambia. That is why we are able to send medical supplies to Gambia. That's why we were able to do a whole lot of things during the floods in Gambia. Now, the reality is this. Loyalty. People will always tell you price, product is important. People will come to July 4th based on what you're giving them. So we were well aware, even if you bring Asanjai or you bring Yusundu, we have always, in the name of Singate, every July 4th, we will bring a local artist. Local artists, munuño in the crowd. Lolu moy dëgg.
Wokote de, Madu.
Wokote de.
Waaye jamono boobu la, léegi mu ngi change, jamono boobu la.
Xaw ma ci loolu de.
Mu ngi change de. Maa ngi ngeen ma benn artiste naa ko indi.
ST was just here the last July 4th. And anybody who is part of, even though man, I'm only in the board now, I work 100% for you in the FST. And he came. Understand? Now, do I believe that there is potential there? Yes. So every decision that we make is not because of we do not want to support Gambian artists. I have a feeling that Buhari more prohalbo.
No. It wasn't. Nekut Buhari. Kenen mama ko wax. Waye so lima bëgg indi sax moy dama la bëgg dolel fofu ne. It's not yeen ngeen indi Gambian artists.
Exactly.
It is Gambian bi la. ñoom ñoo war a génn seetaan ci seen artiste. It is not yéen ngeen indi waaw so loolu tax ma indi woon ko rek indi ma ko woon ngir
ma tooñ Buhari because Buhari is one individual. And we have to give him this. He has always promoted and supported Gambian artists.
Yes.
Gambian artists ñun ñëpp ci nekk dang ci war a béy sa waar. Njog Malik suma doom baay Angleterre. He does a lot of Senegalese artists, but he helps a lot of Gambian artists as well. So yagee ci marché bi di nga xam how to play it. If you are now outside
Gambian bi dañ ko wax di ko wax nii rek waaye yéen boo indi woon Gambian yi Gambian artist ndax ñun Gambian bi dinañ génn loolooy affaire bi duñ génn nañ ko waxte dee rek waaw duñ ñëw moom waaw anyway
Christmas so demee dine Wali Seck la 3,000 people Mary Njie dem na fa I was there. She had an event in Banjul during the Christmas. I was there. Ñi fa nekk ci nit mënuñ 150 people. Why is that? Wali Seck bi almost 2,000 people. Why is that? So the decision is not us.
It is ñun mi seetaan. Nangu na.
Not the organizers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yéen da ngeen mën a jaay rek li nit ñi jënda. Anyways, Musa, thank you so much for coming on board. Really appreciate it. Appreciate nañ ko trop. Lan ngay tàggatoo.
Thank you very much. Like I said, Fadu Rahman, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're contributing immensely because comme li all of you di wax rek tool bi dafa yaatu. Ku ci nekk da ngay béy sa waar. And that's all you can do at this point. For me, Gambia is at a better place. Do I believe we need to take it to the next level? I believe so. But the only way that can be done, we're not pointing fingers, accusing each other. Lolu suñ ko demee du dem. And the people, ñoom Juka Cissé, Barrow must go. Barrow must go.
Mu fi sa di ma toon dégloo mu ne li conversation la moom pour moom na tàng rek parce que moom bala ko interview da nga war a ñëw ma ne Musa waxoon nañ ñi defoon nañ ñi nga ne mën naa waxoon nañ ñi moom daal li conversation la si moom conversation la moom ma ya
So all that is fine ñoom ñi ngay béy seen waxtaan but if there is one thing that we all can agree upon that there is a need for new way of doing business in the Gambia. There is a need for change in 2026. What I do not subscribe to, I am not interested in replacing Barrow. I am interested in changing the system.
loolu la ñu nga bul ko dee wax parce que soo ko waxee dañ dee xam ne yow Barrow nga te yaa am na Barrow mu ne ngeen bàyyi wax bi yéen xam ngeen ne wax bu bari bi yëpp bugal liggéey la joxuñ leen ko yow Barrow laa xasee loolu ba pare yow yaa ngi ko sympathiser bi
no man liggéey Barrow man daf may wàcce sax it wouldn't do anything for me. It wouldn't do a thing to me. It would be very uncomfortable for me.
Why?
Because, like I said, this is a government. I'm not Fumolen Sintuon Funyekut. Wow. And the people that he surrounds himself with, I have issues with that. Because these are the same people left to them alone. Change don't ever happen. Ñoom Sidi Jai, ñoom Fabakary Tombong, ona sangali mo min. Ñooñu wax dëgg yàlla they are Gambians, no doubt. But at the same time too, I don't think they are the future to bring about socio-economic development in that country.
Yeah.
But again, I am not interested in replacing Barrow with something just like Barrow, just a different face. What would that do?
Nga gisee wa Barrow must go.
Let me tell you something about them.
Ruben.
I'm going to Juka Cissé is very resourceful. With Tukulor C, small wala because we had an issue. Mom moma
oh dede yaa ko tooñ man tukulóor moom kenn du koy moom yaa ko tooñ
moma tooñ.
Wow.
So what they are doing, they believe the information need to reach the person in Kayaf and in the smallest of the villages. What my mom on our program, Maneko, I like the frame, but where is the beef? Barrow must go. I get that. It's a slogan. But Chinaka, if we can answer that, that's what we need to focus on. Pinpointing the corruption, absolutely important. Because you need to tell people why this person needs to go. And they're doing that. The question, outside of the slogan, Chinaka. If we can find Chinaka, then we'll be home free. Because remember, for 20 years, 15 to 20 years, you get them Washington, you get them CNN building, Jamme must go. Jamme must go. Jamme must go. When we found out how this person got to go, that's when he left. The slogan is beautiful.
So the slogan is beautiful. Ñom ñu ngay def liñ wara def but ci naka lañ ko mëna
exactly. We need to put it together so that he can go. Begin a yomba. Because if not, we will be saying it for a long time. We've been saying Jammeh must go for 15 years. Seriously. CNN, New York, Washington. We were singing the song. Yes. And I agree with them, the slogan, Barrow must go. I do. The question is... Chinaka.
Juga Chinaka. Chinaka lalawa. Jerejef, baba la tagato.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, jerejef jël sa time bi.
Buhari ñun wa Atlanta la. Ku joge Atlanta dem Sweden. I'm like, I don't think I can. Understand nga joge Sweden, no America, but joge America dem Sweden. I don't know about that. I don't think I can. But thank you, Fadu Rahman, and thank you, viewers. Again, together we can bring about change. Why Sagante pointing fingers? I can guarantee you, it's not going to bring about change. Calling each other names, questioning people's motivation, calling people tribalists, calling people neki barola farlel. I mean, the question is, oh, it's because of Lee. No, that's not going to bring change. And also, don't make up stuff about people. Fadu Rahman, I can disagree with you without fen-fen-buri. We don't have to do that. Let's not make up stuff about people. Again, so if I can change in Buga. Again, my final word, I'm not interested in replacing Barrow. I'm interested in changing the system. And changing the system can be synonymous with replacing Barrow.
Okay.
We cannot make the same mistake we made in 2016. That we need to avoid. But thank you very much, Fadu Rahman.
Thank you. Thank you.
All your folks. I appreciate
it. Thank you. Madam. Thank you so much for coming on board. We really appreciate it. Yéen a ngi def lu am solo ci askan bi depuis démb la loolu du tey seen taxawaay ci askan bi gis nañ ko marqué nañ ko xam nañ ko yëg nañ ko kon luñ la mun a wax rek Musa mooy jërëjëf ak yow ak sa ay morom parce que noonu la diaspora profile ñëpp la ñuy indi comme waxtaan rek dañ leen waxtaan rek ba juboo ñu xam nga parce que ci bi diaspora profile sax dinañ si finale ay solutions parce que am na nit ñu nga xam ne dinañ leen indi ñoo xam ne ñoom ñoo nekkoon ca la xewoon démba so ñun ñoo mën a wax ci lii xew tey su ko defee xale yi jànga indi lii xew ëllëg loolu moom mënuñ koo daw so kon kay man ak yow ñoo bokk génération kenn duñu si dindi loolu moom mën ko nekk kenn duñu si dindi kay waaye kontaan ba pare every Sunday ngeen dem nag for the people by the people man moom am a fan for the people by the people léegi-léegi ma dugg nag ci window bi doo leen may gis may seetaan maa ngi ci window bi ñun ñu bari am naa ci ay morom nag bari nañ waaw waaw ñëpp la ñoo indi nag yéen for the people by the people ñëpp la ñoo indi kii dinañ waaw ma ne fàtte naa laa laaj ana banka
suma waaji
banka bàyyi nañu
actually he was here to visit the family. In February, you know, the family still lives here.
Yeah, the matchman ana banka ci for the people by the people la wa ngi satu banka fofu de.
Xam nga li xew moy so demé Gambia.
Wow.
Am nga nek bitim rew ni it's much easier. Ci beginning bi ñu ko doon jema indi but have connections
internet bi wow.
So that made it kind of really hard. Be pare so demé Banjul with job bi time difference bi and Banka is one person that has paid a huge price to this struggle.
Yeah.
Huge price.
Wow, I remember the boom don ñëwaat. I was the one filming that live. Oh my God. Nit ñi live fi ñu ko bëgg a seetaane fa laa ko dogee ngir jooy. Duma fàtte loolu mu first time mu gisaat yaayam. Oh that day. Duma ko fàtte waaye jërëjëf Musa. Appreciate this. Thank you. Kon guys yéen ñi nga xam ne yéen a ngi seetaan ci Facebook bi YouTube ak TikTok bi ñu ngi leen a waxati jërëjëf yal na leen yàlla fay dina leen càbb bu baree bari ci seen taxawaay saa yu ñoo indi nit rek pour waxtaan ak moom méttiwul lool ay waay foog naa ne bu mel ne bu docteur Cissé bi moom duñ ko amati bu docteur Cissé bi duñ ko amati bii moom te yomb na lool jërëjëf next week nag dinañ ñëw ak keneen ci dañoo dugg nag ci musique dañoo génn ci fiñ nekk nii duga ci music parce que we don't want diaspora profile mu nekk lu nga xam ne affaire politique la ak yooyu doon even though ñi cee gën a soxla pour ñu ñëw ñoo nekk ci diaspora bi te nekkoon ci struggle bi foog ñu indi leen foog ñu waxtaan ak ñoom waaye foog ñu indi ñeneen tamit parce que next week nag dañoo indi ki nga xam ne ci musique la foofu la ñoo duga week after ñu indi leneen ak leneen nii la rek ba moo jeex once again jërëjëf si ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi ñoo jàppale di ñu sponsor suñu programme bi su ma ne sponsor dugal nañ ci lu baree bari ku ci mel ni Nene Jallow Tanji ñu ko gërëm di ko santal parce que moom bañ commencé diaspora profile ba léegi bàyyi ñu ci benn boor parce que moom moo ci dugal boppam sax wax dëgg ne yàlla ñun dañ ko oo pour interview ko and mu ne déedéet man interview bi taxut maa sawaruma ci daal li ma gën a sawar mooy naka laa mun a jàppale programme bi ngeen a def nii pour mu dem kanam parce que man Gambie rek laa gis loolu nag ñu marqué ko lool kontaan ci lool kon Nene Jallow Tanji saa yu nekk suñu toogee rek foog ñu gërëm la sant la bu baax a baax Annual Services ñoom ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi nekk fële ci Norway GP lañ yóbbu bagage from Norway to Gambia to Norway léegi sax soo leen bëggee indi bagage Sweden mun nañ koo indi soo leen bëggee indi bagage Denmark parce que xam ngeen rek Scandinavia dendoo wante bi Annual Services tam ñu fa Maynas ñoom tamit bàyyiwuñu benn boor jàpp nañ ci even though am nañ ay aat suñu war a def man dama dee bëgg a tudda seen tur parce que dafa am fuñ jàpp torop ñu gis ne lu ñoo def nii very first time ñu commencé ko rek nga gis ñu bëree bari nekk di ñoo ne naka la ñoo jàppee seen show bi ñu apprécier ko trop so Maynas tamit ñu ngi leen a gërëm di leen sant bu baax a baax Maynas trading Fay Biram market tamit ñu ngi leen a gërëm di leen sant moom tamit jàppale ci bu baax a baax naka Global Properties moom ku xam Fatmata Kooka rek xam Buhari Gassama rek di nga ne xamoon ngeen ne Global Properties na si bokk parce que buñ ko ooyee rek wax ko ne dañ bëgg a lii la ñoo def dafa ne kay dama see jàpp bu baax a baax te ñëpp xam nañ ne Sol Freezer moom dafa mën a jàpp ci combat lépp loo xam ne Gambien la ñu ko gërëm di ko sant bu baax a baax di gërëm tamit anamu jëndal ma services ñoom tamit yónnee bagage from Gambia to anywhere si world bi wala jëlee bagage from Gambia from fii Europe America foo leen ko mën a wax rek ñu ngi fay jëlee bagage ñoom tamit di ko yóbbu si destination boo leen bëgg rek ak kanati kan laa rek Grand Villa tamit jàpp nañ si bu baax a baax ñoom tamit sponsor nañ programme bi and still ñu ngi bëgg a sponsor si ñoom ñu ngi open indi leen sponsor leen programme bi wala ngeen place advert ak ñun so mu gën a mën a dem ak Fat Jeng Sala suma twini moom tamit yéen gis ngeen saa yu ma demaan Stockholm o ma dem Norway or anywhere moom dafa ñu àndaa ñun make up ma defal ma bem baax yi mooy yi ma daba jaanel suma boppam moom tam ñu ko gërëm di ko sant bu baax a baax mooy Stockholm Beauty moom tam jàpp na ci combat bi Buhari Gassama once again thank you very much for your job well done Buhari without you diaspora profile du mun a happen ak ñeneen ñu nga xam ne duñu leen tudda ñu ngi ci suuf team bi nag xal na moo sakan tuuti ñu ngi ci suuf ñoom tamit ñu ngi leen a wax ne jërëjëf ci seen jàpp ci liggéey bi kontaan nañ ci torop avec Chic tamit duñ ko fàtte avec Chic is mine so ñoom tamit ñu ngi ci biir ñu ngi ci darab yi yu weex yi soo leen bëggee darab yi rek foo leen ko bëgg rek ci àddina rek mun nañ leen ko yónnee nit ñu bari mere nañ ma ne an nekkuma di ko advertise bu baax a baax munuma handul duma ko mun a handul parce que affaire si bareegum la rek juka rek daf day jënda 100 so looloo tax anyway putting jokes aside avec Chic ñoom tamit ñu ngi ci gown si ñu ngi si darab yi ñu ngi si food warmers yi soo leen bëggee food warmers Gambia ñu ngi ko ren ñu ngi ko jaay ak yeneen so dinañ leen ronal advert yi jërëjëf tig nañ leen dajee ba beneen yoon ak beneen guest kon Buhari jërëjëf thank you so much.
Diaspora profile ñu am suñ main sponsor di Global Properties nag nekk ci Gambia foofu lañ base dinañ leen bàyyil number yi ci suuf su ko defee ngeen daal di leen call nag fi nga toog ci Europe mun nga faa toog fi nga toog ci Amérique ak foo mun a toog ci àddina mun nga faa toog call Global Properties ñoom ñu lijjantal la kër gi nga xam ne yaa ngi ko bëgga boo leen callee rek di ngeen am more information comme niñ ko waxee rek Diaspora profile ñu ngi ànd ak suñ main sponsor di Global Properties.
Diaspora profile ngir bëggal leen Ranki Media fi indi Diaspora profile ngir xamal leen waaw gaa ñi teewlu leen gaa ñi pare leen ko fi lay amee Ranki Diaspora profile fii lay amee waay sama gaay yi bare leenoo waaw waaw wax jeeka rafet gaal Fatoumata Rahman kooka amoma jigi juman góor gaa ñi bare leen gaa ñi teewlu leen nanga gaaw te gaaw ca raaki nanga teew ca Diaspora profile nanga gaaw te gaaw ca raaki nanga teew ca Diaspora profile fan la ñuy daje sama gaañi déglu leen foofu la ñuy daje sama gaañi déglu leen fan la ñuy daje tey ma wax leen ko waral foofu la ñuy daje luy Diaspora profile foofu la ñuy daje mooy nga bàyyi ko sa réew fan la ñuy daje dem ci réew bitim réew foofu la ñuy liggéey di liggéey fan la ñuy daje ànd ak sa occupation foofu la ñuy daje moo xam yow kay wéykat fan la ñuy daje moo xam kay politicien foofu la ñuy daje moo xam ngay sportif fan la ñuy daje moom ci mën a doone foofu la ñuy daje loolu la ñuy waxtaanee fan la ñuy daje wax ca tey ànd ak yar foofu la ñuy daje Fatoumata Rahman kooka fan la ñuy daje Fatoumata Rahman kooka foofu la ñuy daje Diaspora profile fan la ñuy daje dégg am na solo lool sama gaañi teewlu leen sama gaañi pare leen Diaspora teewlu leen ko yow fii lay amee fii lay xewee saa su nekk leen ko kenn nettali ndax loolu
Diaspora profile ñu am suñ main sponsor